One of the most exciting sports to watch in the nation has finally returned for the 2021 season. It's college football live from Kenneth P. LaValle Stadium on the campus of Stony Brook University as the Stony Brook Seawolves begin here at home against their conference rival, the New Hampshire Wildcats. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Wilson alongside with me, Momodou Sise, giving you Stony Brook football action live on 90.1 FM. Momo, it's been quite an off-season and very unusual over the last year, but we are finally getting some real Stony Brook football action. Things pretty much back to normal, and how excited are you?
Well, Zach, I can't tell you that I'm so excited that college football is back, especially in Stony Brook, Long Island. I'm ready to see a primetime match, Stony Brook versus UNH today.
Yeah, it's going to be quite one to watch. We get quite a great feeling to see here from a lot of fans who are attending this game here at LaValle, and very much to watch. It's going to be quite a new challenge for both Stony Brook and New Hampshire. For the Seawolves, most of their veterans from last season and the spring returning, while some others, especially on the defense, have graduated and declared for the NFL draft like Sam Kamara, Aki Contressa, and TJ Morrison. While for New Hampshire, the biggest challenge that lies for them, their starting quarterback is injured out for the season with a torn ACL. Max Brosmer, who's been taking the reins over the last two seasons as the starting quarterback for New Hampshire, is not going to be able to have a chance to play for Sean McDonald's team this year. Instead, the offense is going to have to be controlled by Brett Edwards. This is a big blow for the Wildcats in trying to make a push back to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. What does this tell you about what New Hampshire is going to have to do throughout the rest of the season?
Well, New Hampshire is going to have to play with the backup quarterback because their star quarterback, Max Brosmer, he was really good. He won Rookie of the Week 2 times last year and was a candidate for Rookie of the Year for the CAA Conference. So I would like to see what would be really interested in what UNH actually runs today.
was an All-American running back for Stony Brook in the early 1970s for the then Patriots.
So Stony Brook and New Hampshire, unusual spring season, of course. Both of them did not have a chance to finish it out, nor very much reach the 6 games that they would have had to play if they wanted to have a chance at the playoffs. For New Hampshire, only one game in the spring on March 5th against UAlbany fell 24-20, and because of COVID-19 issues, they could not play anything past game 1. While for Stony Brook, they played 4 games, lost the first 3 to Villanova, Delaware, and Maine before winning what turned out to be their last game of the spring against their rival, the UAlbany Great Danes, 21-7. For Stony Brook, they are projected to finish 10th in the CAA preseason poll, while New Hampshire is projected to finish pretty much 5th place from what I've heard, and we'll see whether or not they'll have to try and work on that, because despite losing Max Brosmer, everybody else, the supporting cast that Brett Edwards may have around him, could probably help. For the running game, Carlos Washington returning after he posted 601 yards total back in 2019, while the wide receivers that Edwards will have to rely on, which of course Brosmer did, Charles Briscoe III, and you also get Brian Espinette. Espinette making that big touchdown against Stony Brook the last time these two teams squared off here at LaValle. Then on defense, one of the most dangerous threats in the CAA defensively and most likely in the nation, you get Evan Horn, the senior from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and he's going to be quite a tough monster for Stony Brook to get through with their offense of their own.
Yes, because if Stony Brook wants to sling the ball downfield, UNH has a very good secondary. Like you said, Evan Horn, really good safety, senior, probably his last season, and he could potentially go to the draft next season. So let's see what happens, what Stony Brook could do offensively against UNH.
Most of the experienced players for Stony Brook on defense has gone, but the offense still remains high in many ways. You get Tyquel Fields back for his senior year, believe it or not. This will be his final season for Stony Brook. And he gets the running game of Tyson Lawton and Saban Neckhead that could prove to be quite the lethal running game as Stony Brook has shown throughout the last few years. And you also get the wide receivers Sean Harris Jr., Khalil Newton, Delonte Helms, and the transfer from Rutgers, Hunter Hayek. So, with that, both teams are ready to go on the field. Stony Brook won the toss. They elected to defer. It's going to be them that's going to be kicking it off to the Wildcats to begin 2021. Angelo Guglielmello, who was the kicker in his freshman year during the spring, will kick it away. Dylan Lobb looks set to return. Stony Brook wearing red tops, white bottoms, white with the names and numbers. While for New Hampshire, white tops and dark blue bottoms, while dark blue with their numbers. No names on the bottom, so we're set now. College football is back at LaValle Stadium. Conference Colonial Athletic Association underway here, and Dylan Love gets the return. He'll try and get past Stony Brook's special teams, and he does get across the 20, and then falls out of bounds to his own sideline, right down at the 22. And that's where New Hampshire will start offense for the first time this season.
Pretty good return to get to the 22-yard line to get their offense started. Now let's see what Brett Edwards can do on offense. Now we know that UNH starting quarterback Max Brosma is out. Let's see what they can run here against the Wolves defense.
Beginning to challenge often like that. Brett Edwards, the sophomore from Lowell, Massachusetts, was the backup for Brosmer in the spring and in 2019. And we'll see if Brett Edwards has learned anything from the quarterback that's been the star for the Wildcat squad. First snap, hand off to Washington up the middle. Can't get anywhere to go. Stony Brook's defense already starting out by being able to make a wall look good. And looks like won't get anything on the play. No gain.
Wow. Seawolves defense was stuffed their running back in the backfield. Basically, like you said, they build the wall around the run game. And you're going to see that a lot from the Seawolves. A lot of blitzes because there's a backup quarterback going in, inexperienced. So let's see if Seawolves can continue what they just did that last play.
Play call could be a big factor as well. Here's the next snap. Edwards throwing over to his left. He finds Espinette across the 25-yard line and down and going out of bounds at the 28-yard line. So he makes a 6-yard gain on the play, making a 3rd and 5 coming up.
Nice job by Edwards rolling out to his left, seeing the tight end and passing it for about 6 yards.
Stony Brook, as I said, defense may be not experienced. It could be a little bit of a problem for them this season, but there are going to be other stars who have experience, like Gregory Young and Randy Pringle, that could pretty much work their way. And we'll see here, 3rd and 5. Here's the snap. Sees Washington, can't get anywhere. He's getting trapped. Lopez got him. He still can't find anybody. He has to run out to his right. He'll just have to throw it out of bounds, but he does make the catch. No, he does not. It looks like there was a catch made along the play. It was still in the field, but Sean Coyne had it, and the refs ruled that it was down to the ground, so it will be incomplete.
Well, Zach, first off, that actually looked like a completed pass. Second off, that was just a nice job by the backup, Brett Edwards, slipping away from that tackle. It was very good quarterback contained by the Seawolves defense, but he finds a way to slip off those quarterback contained, rolls out to his right, and try to find number 83, but it was a great play, to be honest, but he just couldn't catch it.
Well, Stony Brook's defense able to luck out, being able to force a 3-and-out to New Hampshire to begin the season, and they'll force the punt. Saban Nekhet set to return, calls for the fair catch. And it goes just across the 45-yard line, and it'll stop right at the 41. So Coyne wasn't sure at first. He thought that he made the catch right across midfield, but the ball, from our angle, it did look like he made it, and then apparently Coyne was right in front of it, and we couldn't see. So Stony Brook will be on offense now for the first time this season after their defense forces 3rd and out against Brett Edwards and the Wildcats, and we'll see what Tyquell Fields does here in his first snap of the fall.
And now Stony will have good field possession to start this drive off. Tyquell Fields on the center.
Stony Brook's average to start possession has been closer near the 20 most of the spring and the last season. So Fields pump faking, trying to go over to his left, throwing a deep shot to Sean Harris Jr., just overshot it. Harris didn't see it completely, and it goes incomplete.
It was just a bad communication on that play. As Tyquell Fields was looking to go aggressive on that first play, trying to throw the ball deep to Sean Harris, but Sean Harris and Tyquell Fields wasn't on the same page on that play.
Well, miscommunication. Fields is lucky that there wasn't any interception on that play. And apparently on the coverage, it was number 4, Randall Harris, the sophomore from Walled Lake, Michigan. So we saw a pass being made that was incomplete. We'll see if Fields decides to hand off to Lawton here on this upcoming play. 2nd and 10. He will hand it off. Lawton trying to get a hole inside. Doesn't really get anywhere. He loses a yard. Tackle. It was made by Gunnar Gibson. 3rd and long coming up.
And that was just beautiful job by Gunnar Gibson, filling the holes through the B-gap. Realizing that it was a run play, Tazalon was going to hit the B-gap. Nice job stopping it.
3rd down and 11.
It looks like Fields is going to hurry this up now. 3 receivers out to the left. Almost caught New Hampshire with offsides. You get Delonte Helms, Hunter Hayek and Khalil Newton to his left. Lawton still in the backfield with Fields. Here's the snap. Fields is going to throw quickly over to his left. He makes the catch for Khalil Newton, just getting across midfield, and he is just a yard short of the first down.
Just a good job by Tyler Fields realizing to throw it quick to Khalil Newton for a 9-yard gain, and now it's a 4th and inches. Let's see what they'll do. Looks like they will go for it on this drive right now.
They're just 2 yards away from a first down. We'll see whether they can do this quickly. Of course, they could have done that. And Fields is going with a carry. Looks like a motion that he may carry it. Or actually, it looks like he may try and catch New Hampshire off guard here. Maybe a little more of a smart play, even though you're at midfield, to try and force an offsides if he can. He has Helms to his motion on his left. Play clock going down to 4. And it looks like it's just going to be that. Just let it go down to a delay of game penalty. And still, smart move from Fields not to risk it too much. And we'll have a punt for Stony Brook as well.
See how they try to draw UNH offside, but UNH was disciplined on defense not to fall for it. And now Stony Brook will actually punt the ball to give the ball to UNH. And let's see what UNH do with this possession.
So Mitchell Wright will be set to punt. Mitchell Wright, an exceptional punter over the last few seasons for Stony Brook in the CAA. And you get Evan Horn set for the return. Evan Horn, one of the best safeties in the nation and in the conference. He is also a good return man. And we'll see if Stony Brook can use their special teams to match his run if that's going to be the case. Mitchell Wright getting set. Ball is at the 45-yard line. He'll kick it away. Nice kick. And Evan Horn, he didn't call for the fair catch, and right there they're going to make an immediate tackle at the 15. Was number 49 for Stony Brook, and it looked like that came from Del Negro. Del Negro also one of the most top-notch special teams players for Stony Brook. So we're back at LaValle Stadium for more of the first quarter. 3.5 minutes gone by so far as both teams are scoreless, could not convert a first down on their first drive of the season. Defense holding well for both sides. Stony Brook just a yard closer on their drive to getting a first down. And Momo, what you saw from both teams getting that first drive so far?
Well, I saw a lot of potential on both sides, especially on the UNH side. Brett Edwards, he seems to be more like comfortable in the pocket, and he's looking like Stony Brook is not there. He's looking at these blitzes, and he's actually like responding to them, like as you will see. He's actually making the right call, and I would actually like to see what Stony Brook will actually do here, knowing that he's actually mobile, can get out the pocket, because sending the quarterback contained didn't work on that last third down play. So let's see what happened.
Well, how can you get film for a backup quarterback? So the first snap, Edwards getting the handoff to Washington, trying to zip ahead and gets about 3 yards. That was Dylan Lobb, actually. And a tackle made by number 23 for Stony Brook. That was Akil Lalande, 2nd and 8.
Good job by Akil Leland. Tackling Lobb for a 2-yard gain.
Stony Brook, as I said, there's a lot of questions about what they're going to do with defense after many of their starters from last year left. So 2nd and 9, going for a quick snap. He will get it off to his receiver to the right and doesn't get anywhere. He does manage to get a few yards. Catch was made to Samir Blacknell and gets 2 more yards, and we'll get ourselves a 3rd and long for the Wildcats, 3rd and 7.
Well, just nice job. Well done on Stony Brook. Compressing the outside on the screen and allowing it to only be 2 games, because it could have been scarier if they was not paying attention on defense.
Yeah, and that's all they got to do. The screen passes could be a bit of a problem for the defense if the offensive line is still able to protect. So 3rd and 7 from the 19-yard line. 3 receivers spread out, 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Lob in the backfield with Edwards. Calling for more directions for his offensive line. Play clock winding down to 1. He has to hurry it out. He gets it off in time. Sees Lob open to his right. Throwing it down the field, and he finds Brian Espinette right at the 35-yard line and out of bounds. New Hampshire gets a first down.
Just a nice throw by Brett Edwards to Brian Espinette for the first down. Throwing into the corner, seeing him wide open, and realizing the coverage was a cover 2. So you will see actually the corners will actually get open on that side.
For Stony Brook and their defensive line, it consists of Casey Williams, McKay Smith, Dakar Edwards, and Brandon Lopez. And we'll see if they still have the ability to fight through a tough Wildcats offensive line. So first down now at the 35-yard line. Lob out to the right. Washington's in as well. Edwards looking to throw. gets pressured. He goes over to his right, finds a wide open Carlos Washington right across midfield and going out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Chasing him out of bounds was Lyland. And so we'll have another first down for the Wildcats, and they are just on the cusp of field goal range.
I was really not letting the pressure really get to him. He's rolling outside, improvising, and he just found Washington for like a 29-yard gain to move the chains now on first down.
Usually it can be hard when you have two running backs on the same play. Trying to figure out which one you get control of because both of them could make a big one. So now at the 36-yard line, Edwards, he'll give it off again. This one will be to Carlos Washington and immediately met by Tyler King. Loses a yard on the play, and King lost his helmet too. But a nice little tackle for a loss, and that'll be 2nd and 11.
Great job by Tyler King filling in the B gap on that run and lock down Carlos Washington on that play for a 1-yard loss.
Stony Brook so far has been able to make some good rushes defensively, being able to pressure Edwards, but they haven't been able to finish off the execution. Some opportunities that could lead to sacks. 2nd and 11, 3 receivers spread out again. Washington in the backfield, 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Here's the snap. There'll be another handoff, and Washington getting more ground this time. He's getting across the 30, busting through inside the 25-yard line and gets a big carry for a first down right at the 24-yard line. A 13-yard gain on the play.
And you just saw Washington ran that ball angry. He was really mad about that last play, getting a 13-yard gain, and he was putting his shoulders down trying to get more yardage. That's what you would like to see more from Washington. Pound for pound running back.
Making quite an assault on Stony Brook's defense. We'll see if Stony Brook can still try and get there because now New Hampshire could be close to scoring first. First down, Edwards throwing out to his left and gets it out of bounds, and barely making the catch was Espinette again inside the 15 to the 13-yard line, and we have ourselves an 11-yard gain on the play.
And you see Edwards making the right reads and the right decision on offense. He's still not letting this pressure get to him. He's throwing the ball quick, and he's doing his job. You continue to keep throwing the ball quickly, he's going to lead a lot of open holes on the deep end.
Well, the fact is Stony Brook has not been so sufficient so far with the pass coverage, allowing too many separations for the Wildcats receivers. 3 are shown to the right now. First down again. Edwards looking, trying to get out. He's getting pressure. McKay Smith almost got him. Edwards got out of there. He'll just have to toss it away and out of bounds. Outside the pocket, it'll go down incomplete. McKay Smith nearly having the chance to sack and forcing Edwards to just have to heave it right along his side of the field.
That was just great pressure by Stony Brook, not allowing Edwards to have a chance to roll out the pocket, and that was just great outside blitz by the Seawolves.
Well, these are more the defensive plays that Stony Brook needs to make. And as I said, they got to be more alert with being able to make the pass coverage and being able to get past the offensive line too. 4-3-4 showing for Stony Brook defensively. 3 receivers once again spread out. 2nd and 10. Edwards, he'll move to his right. He'll hand it off to Lobb. And Lobb was able to get away from the pressure. He's moving down to the left. Breaking through Stony Brook's defense. Getting inside the 5 and diving for the end zone. Refs ruling him at the 3-yard line. 1st and goal.
Wow. Lobb just dodged a huge hit. It looked like he was going to get a tackle for a loss, but he broke the hit and he cut up the sideline for more yards for a 10-yard gain. And that was just a good job by Dylan Lobb.
If I tell you anything, this is really going to anger Chuck Priori because that's not what he wanted of his players defensively. You got to finish the plays. So now it's 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. Lobb in the backfield, 2 receivers spread out to the right. Stony Brook really going to have to put up the blitz here if there's a running play, which there will be. The handoff to Lobb, and he gets tackled. He gets immediately met and out and goes down for a 1-yard loss on the play. Tackle made by Cartel Flowers.
That was just a good job by Cartel Flowers, blitzing in and tackling Lobb to have a 1-yard loss on that play.
That's exactly more. Stony Brook, that's all about the blitz they need to make, and finishing off being able to make the tackle, holding on to the opponent's body as long as it's legal. So now 2nd and goal at the 4-yard line. Once again, the same formation. Lobb in the backfield with Edwards. 2 receivers spread out to the right.
And now you see them motioning.
Tight end in motion to the left. Here's the snap. Edwards is going to take a shot to the end zone for his receiver. And catch made for a touchdown. And that was hauled in by Kyle Lepkowski. It looked like it was a bit of a struggle between him and the cornerback, but it looked like but it looked like Lepkowski was able to maintain possession of it. Almost could have been a bobble, but he did not make it that.
Wow, nice job by Kyle Lepkowski with that touchdown grab. Mossing the cornerback, and as you saw in that play, you saw how he motioned out to the outside when it was just one-on-one coverage of a jump ball with him and the tight end, and looks like the tight end won that jump ball. That was just a great read, great decision by Brett Edwards on the center.
And a very odd formation right here for UNH. You usually indicate it'd be an extra point, but it doesn't look like they're going for that. Brody McAndrew is coming in to try a 2-point conversion. Usually it'd be Jordan Kahn, but I haven't heard any word about him about whether or not he's healthy. I mean, I do see number 91, which is pretty much what he wears. So this is not a formation. This indicates UNH is going for 2 here,
Wow.
which they are going to do. But the ball is going fumbled, and it goes picked up by number 93, and we have a penalty on the play as well. Very strange following the touchdown for UNH, and we'll see whether or not what this penalty is. But Dakar Edwards making that recovery. I don't know if that was the plan that UNH wanted to do, because it seemed like they wanted to work on some trick play to make it an 8-0 lead. They're calling an illegal chop block against the Wildcats, so it'll be declined, and it'll just be a touchdown, no 2-point conversion or extra point. I don't understand this, really. I don't get this.
Didn't understand that formation either.
So out of the timeout, with 5:55 left to go in the first quarter, UNH put a touchdown first on the board after a masterful drive by Brett Edwards and his running backs in Dylan Lobb and Carlos Washington. But it still plagues my mind to see what New Hampshire was thinking about their little formation trying to go for 2. I mean, I've only ever seen that type of play once, like back in 2018 when the Seawolves played against Villanova. Villanova had to get a 2-point conversion to tie the game late, and they went with a strange formation as well, but it didn't end up with a fumble. It did end up with a deflected pass by E.J. Finneran, and it eventually allowed Stony Brook to hold on and win the game. But this one right here, how surprised were you about that?
That was just a surprising 2-point conversion play. It was just a center, and then the quarterback lined up behind the center, and everybody just spread left, and one receiver spread right, which is a very odd formation. But
if you're trying to be a hero, it can backfire.
yeah.
So Khan kicks it off. It returned right and goes right to the 20-yard line. Where's the ball? Neckhead will put it there. Jaden Cook, actually. So Stony Brook will begin the ball from the 20-yard line. They were very close to a first down when it was 4th and 2 at midfield on their last possession. They tried to force an offside UNH to extend the drive, but the Wildcats weren't falling for that. And we'll see if Stony Brook can work on getting a couple of more first downs and try and respond with a score of their own. Last time Stony Brook and New Hampshire played each other back in 2019 here at LaValle. Low-scoring game, and because of New Hampshire's defense, they fended off against Stony Brook 20-14. So here's the snap. Fields fakes the handoff, throws over to his left, finds Tyler DeVera across the 25-yard line, right to the 27 for a gain of 7. DeVera, the transfer, the redshirt sophomore who's in his second season with Stony Brook, the transfer from the University of Maryland. Picking up a Big Ten transfer could be some helpful influence for somebody who is part of an elite conference in college football itself.
Yeah, it could definitely help out with experience because he played tougher competition, so it could lead for Sewell's offense to actually play better.
2nd and 3 at the 27. The handoff to Tyson Lawton, getting a good hole up the middle. Jaden Cook actually gets right across the 30-yard line and goes right to the 31, where it'll be enough for a Stony Brook first down.
Nice run by Jaden Cook, bouncing off a tackle and running in for a first down.
Stony Brook getting their first down of 2021, and they're really showing that offense can be a key, and they have all the weapons to prove it, but they need to continue to work it. Helms and Newton at the left, while Fields is still in the backfield with Jaden Cook. First down at the 31-yard line. Here's the snap. Fields going to throw over to his left, finds Helms across the 35. Another sizable gain on the play off the pass from Tyquell Fields, getting right to the 37-yard line. It'll be a gain of 6.
And this is a quick pass, Tyquell Fields to Delonte Helms, and that was a good read by Tyquell.
And Fields going quickly here on 2nd and 4. He'll hand it off inside to Tyson Lawton, who almost got to the 40-yard line, spins it around over to his left, and makes it right to the 40-yard line. A 3-yard gain, making it 3rd and short coming up.
Tyson Lawton, really good, big back in the backfield. Nice job getting 3 yards, and now it's only 3rd and short for the Seawolves offense.
Tyson Lawton and Jaden Cook being traded evenly at the running back position. Probably expecting to see also Jaden Turner if he does get some action here today. So 3rd and 1 coming up. Receiver spread out to the right. The handoff inside to Lawton. Trying to get ahead. He gets stuffed immediately. He's still trying to stay on his feet, but the forward progress has him down at the 39-yard line. Tackle is made by Zidane Williams. And that will force 4th down, and the punt unit will come out.
And that was just a great job by Zidane Williams tackling Tyson Lawton. Knowing that it's 3rd and short, blitzing the B gap, and Tyson Lawton had nowhere to go on that play.
Well, with 3rd and 1, you usually expect that you want to go for a run here, but
Yeah.
New Hampshire, with their defense, just been really tough to get through, and Stony Brook's offense has had a little bit of a hard start so far. They had a hard start to begin the spring back in March when they faced off against Villanova. No score for them in the first half. They were down 13-0. So Mitchell Wright once again to punt. Working a good one. Evan Horn calling for the fair catch and making a diving one as he has it down right at the 17-yard line. So New Hampshire will once again have their 3rd possession right at that spot.
The punt is fair caught at the 17-yard line.
Just 2:56 left to go, and Stony Brook is trailing the New Hampshire Wildcats 6-0. So we'll keep it here for a bit. So Stony Brook and New Hampshire meant to play each other back on April 10th, 2020, but due to COVID-19, neither one of them was able to finish up their season, and both of them had to call it quits very early on. For New Hampshire, they suffered a 24-20 loss in their only spring game of the season. They were at home against the against the UAlbany Great Dames, against Jeff Undercuffler, and it seemed like it was a really close game. If anything, they can imagine Max Brosman doing everything he could in his power. So just about 150 yards in that game with 2 touchdowns, finding Espinette and Briscoe. But besides that, not much else to go, because Jeff Undercuffler, despite losing most of his talent, he still has Carl Mulford, especially for this season. UAlbany receiving votes to begin the season along with New Hampshire, but you can imagine that's going to be a drastic turn for the Wildcats unless Brett Edwards is able to step up, just like he did on that last drive.
Yes, and we're seeing a lot of Brett Edwards this first quarter, and you would typically expect a backup quarterback going in after for the star quarterback to be, scared to throw the ball, confused out there, not, being familiar with the offense, was going with the time, but he's quickly understanding this offense, and he's actually dominating this Seawolves offense offensively, and the Seawolves really have no answer for him to stay inside the pocket, and he's getting a lot of throws outside the pocket because he's really good at improvising the football. And with him being good at improvising, he's allowing his receivers to get open, allowing a lot of more time for the receivers to create separation. And
well, this seems to be now a problem because Stony Brook's really starting to show that defense is pretty much inexperienced. Of course, as we still expect, the likes of Brandon Lopez, Casey Williams, and McKay Smith, who are one of the few returners for defense, is trying to hold their own. Even so, they have been allowing some good gains on the play to the likes of Carlos Washington and to the receivers in players like Brian Espinette. They need to be covered well. So, out of the timeouts, New Hampshire, leading 6-0, will start possession at their own 17-yard line. 2 running backs are shown in the backfield with Brett Edwards, 3 receivers spread out. Here's the snap. Edwards fakes it. He's running over to his left, going wide open to his left, finds a receiver going out of bounds. That was C.J. Turner getting right to the 30-yard line. 13-yard gain, first down for New Hampshire.
And once again, Brett Edwards rolling out the pocket left, finding his receiver for a 13-yard gain, and now they've just moved the chains.
This is one of the earliest that Stony Brook and New Hampshire have ever played in a season. Their last September game against each other was back in 2015 here at LaValle. Stony Brook dominated from top to finish, winning 31-6. So another first down. Turner set in motion. Edwards trying to get out of the pocket. Gibbons almost sacked him. Edwards gets out there. He's heaving it over to his right, and it goes out of bounds across the 40-yard line. And a catch is made by one of the Seawolves on the play by Nico Poppin. Incomplete pass.
And Brett Edwards is just hurried on that play, but that was really interesting by Brett Edwards, sensing the pressure, realizing that his offensive tackle, number 75, was right there, spinning off. He just throws it out the pocket without avoiding the sack and just throwing it out the pocket. That was just a really good job by him of sensing the pressure.
Just being able to sense every defender that does come his way. And he's got the good speed for that. Second and 10 now at the 30. Same formation as before. It'll be the handoff to number 42. Oh, actually, no, it's Brett Edwards taking it off himself across the 35-yard line. And just short of the first down at the 38, he goes out of bounds. Edwards even faked me as well.
Wow. He faked the whole tape. I thought that was a handoff to number 42, but he fakes it, roll out left, ran it for another 10-yard gain, and now they just continue to keep moving the chains.
Number 42 on the play is Isaac Seed.
Eight yards.
So third and short coming up. Stony Brook was unable to convert on their own third and short. We'll see if the Seawolves defense is able to return the favor on New Hampshire's offense. They're going quick here. Another strange formation coming up. The handoff inside to Edwards, trying to bust through over to Lob on his left. Met, goes backwards, and gets just across the 39-yard line, but is inches short of the first down. It looks like they may, and the offense is still staying on the field. They may go for it, unless they look to try and catch Stony Brook offside as well.
He is short. It is fourth down.
And it looks like they're going to make a late switch. They're just going to go for the punt. So Stony Brook able to return the favor by being able to stop New Hampshire on a third and short as well.
Yes, good tackle by Akil Layla, saving the Seawolves defense so they won't have to go out there on fourth down and, trying to get another stop. So that was just a good stop by Akil Layla, tackling Dylan Lobb, and now the Seawolves get the football back.
And with that, we have a whistle. No flag on the play, so looks like the refs are just trying to probably get a better placement of the ball. It is fourth and short. Oh, it's actually a delay of game penalty. I didn't even notice the play clock winding down. So instead of a 4th and 1, that probably eliminates any last-second idea of probably going for a fake. So they'll have to do the punt from the 35-yard line. There's 50 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Stony Brook trailing New Hampshire 6-0 here at home at LaValle Stadium. It's about Neckhead, right, set to return. He's at the 30-yard line. Punt almost got blocked. He's calling for the fair catch. And he got bounced around, but that didn't stop him from holding on to the ball. Just right at the 31-yard line is where he called for the fair catch, and that's where Stony Brook will get the possession of the ball again. So Stony Brook still looking to try and find a way to get down the field while making some big plays. What do you think they need to start doing differently as opposed to their last two drives?
Well, Stony Brook needs to start being aggressive on offense. They're playing too conservative, throwing the ball too short, and just running the ball. But because UNH is so disciplined on defense and know what's going on, you need to catch them on defense. You need to flip some plays around, probably throw some fakes, and catch them on the defensive side, because if you're going to continue throwing the ball short, it's not going to work against this UNH defense.
Fields going quick over to his right, finds Saban Neckhead across the 40, busting inside the 45-yard line and right down at the 46. And a quick play call by Tocqueville Fields to find Neckhead. Stony Brook gets the first down and just 4 yards short of midfield.
That was just a good job. Saban kept rolling out right last second, and like I said, need a fake. That was just a nice job by Saban kept fake out the block, roll out right, and now got a 15-yard gain on that pass.
It looked like Fields was almost about to go quick, but he holds it off, receiving instructions from his sideline. 15 seconds left to go. This may be the last play of the first quarter. Fields fakes the handoff to Cook. He tries to pounce forward. He does get about a yard. It looked like Fields was able to make a bold move, a better play on that one, because it looked like if he was going to hand it off to Turner, one of the Wildcats defenders was going to tackle him for a huge loss on the play.
That was a good reaction, even though it was just a one-yard gain. That was just a good decision by Ty Kelfields not giving it to his running back.
And with that, it sends us right to the end of the first quarter. So Stony Brook has the ball 2nd and 9 at their own 47-yard line. They still trail the Wildcats 6-0, and we'll see if they can make a push with a first score of the season when we come back. Zach Wilson and Momodou Sise giving you Stony Brook football action live on 90.1 FM, WUSB Stony Brook from LaValle Stadium. Let's go over back to Matt Mankiewicz in the studio for another game break.
And back in the studios of WUSB, Matt Mankiewicz here, and we shall get you up to date on everything going on in the world of sports right now. And Let's get you up to date on Major League Baseball scores because you have some games in the books. Phillies beat the Nationals 7-6. A's over the Tigers 8-6. Giants beat the Brewers 5-1. Red Sox and the Rays just about to get underway at 7:10. Same thing for the Marlins and the Mets. 8:05 Pirates and Cubs. 8:10 Indians and Royals. 8:40 Braves and Rockies. That rounds out your baseball schedule. Football, on the other hand, we're still minutes away from kickoff between Delaware and Maine. That is the one other CAA going on, and that will kick off at 7. On Saturday, you got Villanova and Lehigh at noon, Wofford and Elon at 2. Same for Howard and Richmond. 3:30, Albany and North Dakota State. Towson visits Morgan State at 4. Morehead State, James Madison at 6. Bryant and Rhode Island likewise. And 7:30, the Thomas Jefferson Showdown as his alma mater, William & Mary, takes on the school he founded, University of Virginia. NFL, one preseason game on tap, Dallas at Tampa Bay. That kicks off at 8:20. Let's send it back.
Thank you, Matt. So now we enter quarter number 2 here at LaValle Stadium in the first game of the season, which is the conference opener as well for both the Stony Brook Seawolves and New Hampshire Wildcats. Wildcats playing under a new quarterback, Brett Edwards, after their originally starting quarterback, Max Brosmer, was declared out for the season due to a torn ACL. But thanks to Brett Edwards, the Wildcats do have a 6-0 lead so far, and Stony Brook is looking to try and respond to the best of their abilities as they have the ball at the 47-yard line with 2nd and 9 coming up, their own 47-yard line.
And yes, Brett Edwards actually been looking good last quarter with a QBR rating of 170.2, throwing 7 passes out of 10 attempts with 80 yards, 70% completion, 1 touchdown, and his largest game was 29 yards. He's been looking really good this
Extend in motion, he'll get the ball over to his left, and there's no way to cut a hole inside. Met immediately by one of the defenders, and so it'll be a 3rd and long coming up for the Seawolves. It looks like that was once again Zidane Williams. Noah Stansberry, actually, the free safety, able to make a big tackle, being able to surprise the Rutgers transfer. Now Stony Brook will have to make a big play here. They need to get to the New Hampshire 44-yard line to extend this drive. 3 receivers spread out to the right, DeVera, Helms, and Khalil Newton, with Lawton still in the backfield. Play clock winding down. It's at 7. Fields looking to have to hurry it up. He will. Here's the snap. Fields about to get pressured. He loses yards on the sack. Moving across the 45-yard line. Tackle is made by Niko Kovetkis, one of the most lethal defensive linemen on the team as well. Him and Evan Horn make quite a fierce combo for the Wildcats.
And Niko Kovetkis is really feeling happy about that sack. As you know, as a defensive lineman, it's really hard to get sacks on a quarterback, and that was just a nice job coming in clutch on a 3rd down play, sacking Tykel Fields, and now Seawolves going to have to punt on this possession.
Well, after this game, Stony Brook is going to have to play back-to-back road games. They go to Colgate, which is projected to finish dead last in their own conference in the Patriot League. Then it's going to be really, really a long road trip. They heading over to the FBS in Eugene, taking on the Oregon Ducks, who could be a sleeper for the college football playoff. And I don't know if I really want to imagine how that game is going to go. But if anything for Stony Brook, what they should be focusing on more is playing the game that they are right now.
Yes. And if they play like this against Oregon, by this time the game is probably going to be over.
So the punt was made right to the 29-yard line, which is where New Hampshire once again set up shop. 13:35 to go in the second quarter. New Hampshire leads 6-0, looking to extend it on this drive. 4 receivers spread out. Brett Edwards in the backfield with Carlos Washington. Here's the snap. And then off to Washington, trying to get a hole over to the right. He only makes about 2 yards on the play. Stony Brook able to make a stuffed defense. Tyler King, one of the defenders, to make the tackle.
And Tyler King has been all over against the run this whole evening so far, and I hope he keeps it up because the Seawolves going to need a lot defensively in order for them to, get momentum back into this game.
Brandon Lopez was a responsible culprit for being able to make the tackle, one of the most experienced players on the defensive line. 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7 now at the 32. 3 receivers are now spread out with Washington still in the backfield with Edwards. Here's the snap. Edwards is looking to throw. So wide open to his right. Sean Coyne getting just across the 35-yard line. Refs rule him between the 36 and 37. making it 3rd and short with just 3 yards to go.
At the 37-yard line.
There are other players that for defense that Stony Brook could be using, and there's also Elias Reynolds, the transfer from Pittsburgh, who was pretty much known years ago for making some big plays in the ACC championship game. And the ball goes loose, and it looks like,
out.
and it's still going, and it looks like, did Stony Brook have a hand on it? No, they did not. It was a fumble. A catch was previously made. Blacknell tried to get there. Stony Brook's wall on the right was being able to get to him quickly before he could make a first down. It went backwards, so that's going to go down as a loss. The ball going right back to the 31-yard line. And it'll be another punt coming up for the Wildcats. Stony Brook, once again, making some big plays defensively.
That was just a very good defensive play. Hitting Edwards and the ball loose. And the ball got loose for a fumble. And if Stony Brook was able to capitalize that ball and not let it go out of bounds, it would have been really good field possession for the Seawolves. But at least they get the ball back.
So once again, another punt. Neckhead's going to let it go bounce. It's going to go right around the 35-yard line. And then it goes just trailing over a bit of a New Hampshire bounce, only a couple of yards. And it goes right to the 33-yard line. Timeout, 11:45 left to go. Stony Brook has had some trouble trying to get the ball down the field and into New Hampshire territory at the very least. They're still looking for their first play on that side of the 50. And we'll see whether or not they can. They start at the 33-yard line, and the offense still looking like a work in progress, similar to how they began the spring season back in March. But the difference is that they want to get a score this time around.
Yeah.
So first down with 3 receivers spread out. Lawton in the backfield with Fields. Here's the snap. Fields moving over to his right, looking for somebody available. He does find Helms, getting right across to the 40-yard line for a 7-yard gain. 2nd and 3.
Good job by Ty Cam. Seeing Delonte Helms open, and now it's a 7-yard gain, and hopefully they can get something going on 2nd down and 3.
Stony Brook showing that they have the ability to have their receivers open for a few seconds as long as Fields is able to target them. The offensive line continues to need to play their part, and one of those offensive linemen that can do it is one of the best also in the nation somewhere in Kyle Nunez. 2nd and 3 at the 40-yard line. Here's the snap, the handoff inside to Lawton. He just get across the 40-yard line, makes about 1 yard on the gain. Still a 3rd and a long short coming up. 3rd and 2.
As you can see, UNH pull out a disguised blitz right there, zone blitz. As you saw, as the running back motion, there was only one safety down there, and the other people came down towards the Rovers came down and realized it was a run.
So we have 4 receivers now spread out with Lawton still in the backfield. We'll see if Stony Brook can try and get that pass protection down in order to try and get a first down here. Have to get to the 43. Here's the snap. Fields going a deep shot, trying to go over the Helms and incomplete. Helms didn't really get a good angle on that play either. Coverage on the play responsible by number 31, Jonathan Collins, and so Stony Brook will have to punt it again.
And that's just another 3 and out by the Seawolves, and so far, UNH defense has been able to contain the Seawolves offensively. And it's really looking like the start of the spring season where the Seawolves really had no offense going.
Well, they really desperately want to look for that score because they don't want to get shut out in any way, especially to begin their season. They've had success in the past with their home openers, except for last year. Mitchell Wright will punt it away. There's a good booming one. Evan Horn picking it up. He's going to work on a special teams play, trying to spin it around. Makes it right to the 30-yard line. And eventually brought down by one of the Seawolves. That was Redkey DeManchi.
To the UNH 30-yard line.
And that's where New Hampshire will set up shop again.
1st and 10 for the Wildcats.
So New Hampshire will come back with it again. 10-17 now left to go in the 2nd quarter, with New Hampshire up against 6-0. Another chance to try and extend it, using their defense well against Stony Brook today, just like they did against them the last time they played. It was a close battle at first, but then eventually the Wildcats pulled away for a 6-point win. We'll see if Brett Edwards continues to have the answers. With 4 receivers spread out and Washington in the backfield. Lob, actually. Here's the snap. Throwing over to his left. He finds Sean Kahn. Trying to get past DeManchi. He's able to drag him from behind. It's a foul, 5-6 yard gain on the play.
Complete for a gain of 6.
And as you're seeing, Brett Edwards is just staying comfortable in the pocket. Even when the blitzes are throwing at him, he's just still throwing it out quick. And this is really interesting how Max Brosman goes out and Brett Edwards is really stepping up this game against the Seawolves.
Either Edwards is good or the Stony Brook's defense still needs to work on something. So the handoff up to Lob inside, trying to go over to the right and stopped well by Isaiah Givens with no room to go, only 1 yard on the play. And that's one play, because if he got past Givens, it could have been a sizable game for loss.
Yes, you're right. And that was just a nice tackle by Isaiah Givens, tackling him by the legs. And if that tackle was not made, it could have been really scary for the Seawolves defense.
And I see the marching band getting hyped up for this third down play coming up. Stony Brook needs to look to try and force another 3rd and out on New Hampshire. From the 37-yard line. A little bit more of a motion. Lob moving to his right now instead of his left. 3 receivers set up. Here's the snap. Blitz coming. Here comes the pressure by Tyler King. He gets away from it. Edwards has to throw it away and out of bounds. So it may not be a sack, but here comes the pressure from Stony Brook once again to force another 3rd and out.
That's just a nice pressure by Tyler King, rushing Brett Edwards outside the pocket and making him throw it out of bounds. And now the Seawolves will have another opportunity on offense to try to score. And now let's see what they do offensively, because it's just been really abysmal so far, basically. Have a lot of 3-and-outs to go off. They have not really gotten towards the red zone, which they need to get towards the red zone, because in 2019 there was a really good red zone offensive team, and hopefully they need to get back to the red zone and get to that.
Things have pretty much changed a lot for Stony Brook ever since they had an offense that pretty much led them to back-to-back FCS playoff appearances, including their former quarterback Joe Carbone. Punt going right to Sabat Neckhead, trying to get past the 5-yard line, and they get stopped by 3 defenders, and so Stony Brook will have to set up way inside their own territory as Neckhead almost thought about letting it go into the end zone for a touchback, but he tried to make a big move just like Evan Horn has usually had. It doesn't work this time. So, media timeout upcoming once again. Stony Brook will have the ball at their own 5-yard line. A long drive probably coming up with 8:49 to go in the second quarter. New Hampshire 6, Stony Brook 0. Zach Wilson and Momodou Sise giving you Stony Brook football action live on 90.1 FM. WSB Stony Brook, the longtime home for Seawolves Athletics. Let's head back to Matt for another studio update.
And back in the studios of WSB, Matt Mankiewicz here. Let's check up on everything going on that we were following earlier, and then some. Of course, lots more coming up at halftime. But in the meantime, we can get you up to date on Major League Baseball scores, including the games that have already occurred and games coming up. In particular, you do have 3 in the books. Phillies beat the Nationals 7-6. Athletics over the Tigers 8-6. Giants beat the Brewers 5-1. Marlins and the Mets just about to get underway in about less than 15 minutes anyway. Red Sox and Rays warming up as well down in Tampa Bay. That, of course, affects the Yankees in the standings regardless of the outcome. Yankees are off. Pirates and the Cubs, they get started at 8:05. Indians and the Royals, 8:10, and Braves and the Rockies, 8:40. And typical Thursday night, not a full schedule. Everybody gets busy tomorrow. However, in the National Football League, there is one game on the preseason schedule, and that is Dallas and Tampa Bay, 8:20 kickoff, if you are following. In college football, on the other hand, they'll keep you busy, even tonight, even on a Thursday night, because in the CAA, we do have one other game coming up, and that is going to be Delaware and Maine at 7 p.m., which is only a few minutes away. Full schedule on Saturday, though, starting at noon, Villanova and Lehigh, 2 p.m. for Wofford and Elon, Howard and Richmond at 2 as well. 3:30, Albany, North Dakota State, Towson and Morgan State at 4. 6 p.m., Morehead State, James Madison. Bryant and Rhode Island also at 6, 7:30. The Thomas Jefferson Challenge, his alma mater, William & Mary, and the school he founded, University of Virginia. Let's send it back.
Thanks, man. On the timeout, we had a play that led to a fumble, and we'll see whether or not it's going to be New Hampshire, because it looks like New Hampshire was certain that they had it. And this is a handoff to Jaden Cook. He lost possession of the ball, recovered by New Hampshire. Immediately inside the 10-yard line of Stony Brook is where New Hampshire will set up.
And Jaden Cook lost the ball, and now that's going to leave
First and
UNH
10,
to
UNH at the 4-yard line.
really good field possession right at the goal line for UNH, and that's not really good. It's not looking good for the Seawolves so far.
I'm surprised that Jaden Turner hasn't checked in either, because he can play fast and loose with his running game, and yet Jaden Cook hasn't really shown any promises yet. This has just been a brutal start for Stony Brook so far, and it looks like they're about to make it even more brutal here if their defense can't stop New Hampshire from within their own 4-yard line. However, looks like something is going on. I think we may get ourselves a little booth review here. This was a turnover, and it is subject to review. The refs are talking this one over. Or actually, it was clear that he lost possession of the ball. The question is, who was responsible for getting it? It doesn't. Defense is still staying on the field while the offense is in the huddle. So it looks like it's going to remain that play. The call looks like it is confirmed.
No flag on the play. First and goal for the Wildcats.
So it looks like there was an initial penalty probably. If it was on the defense, and that could have helped Stony Brook, but that won't be the case. So the ball immediately at the 4-yard line. And Edwards going to be right there in the back with once again, Speedo. Here's the snap. They'll hand it off inside to him, and he's going to bust. Oh, he's going to flip on the left side, actually, and he finds Sean Kahn in the end zone for a touchdown.
What a
Edwards
fake.
pitches to number 83,
Nice
Sean Point for a
fake
UNH touchdown.
by Brett Edwards on a read option, then pitches it to his running back for the score. And now UNH is up 12-0, 2-touchdown score, and they'll line up for the PAT.
So even with a backup quarterback, Stony Brook's defense is still having a very big issue because their offense has not been able to respond so smartly here as opposed to the last touchdown drive. New Hampshire will just go for the extra point. No more trickery from them, probably. They just want to play it safe, as with any normal football team. Jordan Kahn gets set now for the extra point. It's now a 12-0 lead for the Wildcats pending the extra point. Let's get set. Good snap. Kick is up, and it's good. So he converts on the extra point, and now the lead has gone to 13-0 for the Wildcats. They're continuing to have a tough defensive game against Stony Brook's offense that is still having some major trouble trying to find a way down the field, especially hold on to the ball.
And it's just the UNH defense has been able to just step up, and that's what they usually do every year. They always have a good defense, and it was concerning because they had like 3 players on their defense who went to the draft last year, but this year their defense is looking very, very good, very, very good. And I don't know if the Seawolves will be able to respond to this defense, because this defense having a lot of momentum after this score. So let's see what the Seawolves can at least try to put up in the second quarter.
Yeah, there's probably have to be more weapons that Priori is going to have to try and look for, because the receivers that he's using right now do have themselves to be open, but it seems like Fields is having problems trying to stay in a good pocket with his offensive line trying to protect him. Of course, Kyle Nunez is there, and you also get Justin Morgan, but still everybody else is having ability to try and hold on. Cameron Lucas, Anthony Catapano, and Cole Gambino. Gambino probably one of the most newest players to the offensive line. So Jane Turner will just let it go into the end zone for a touchback. So the 25-yard line is where Seawolves will start again. Trying to find another way to try and get to where they want to get to, because there still needs to be an answer. And Momo, is there any more answers that you can come up with how Stony Brook can try and improve?
Well, UNH is still, they have a very good defensive front. So the pressure is still getting on Takel Fields, and him throwing it quickly is actually making good decisions. It's just, they're not been able to pound the football, and I feel like Seawolves should be able to pound the football against this UNH defense. They need to be more patient offensively, and that is something that they're not doing.
So they'll start at the 25-yard line with 2 receivers spread out to the right. The handoff inside to Nekhet. He's trying to get, he gets 2 yards on the carry. Tackled by Elijah Lewis.
On the carry.
And so 2nd and 8's coming up.
Stop at number 5, Elijah Lewis. Gain of 2 on the play.
So Hunter
2nd down, 8.
Hayak will check in for Thomas Dutton. 8:15 left to go in the second quarter. New Hampshire is now up 13-0, holding Stony Brook scoreless so far here in this first half. Three receivers now spread out to the right. Neckhead still in the backfield with Fields. Here's the snap. Fields is looking to throw. Gets out of the pocket, runs to his left. Getting across the 30-yard line. Pushed out of bounds by Evan Horn. He makes about a 5-yard gain on the play. And so we'll have a 3rd and 5 coming up now.
Good job by Tykel, realizing nobody was open and rolling out for 3 yards.
From the 30-yard line.
This is the first time today that Fields has decided to run off. We've seen him being able to run with the ball and believing it. When it matters most, he's able to come up and clutch, especially 2 years ago when he made a big game-winning play against Rhode Island. So 3rd and 5 now at the 30-yard line with 3 receivers to his right. Neckhead still in the backfield. Must get to the 35-yard line. Fields throwing over to Delonte Helms. Intercepted.
Pick 6.
But not Delonte Helms has anything to say about it. It goes inside the 5-yard line. There was a collision. Collins forcing that collision against Delonte Helms and making the interception, and another turnover forced by the Wildcats.
And
First and goal for
Tykel
UNH.
Fields just threw an interception, which is
At the
really
5-yard line.
really cautious because now UNH will get the ball at their own 5-yard line to score.
It looks like they're pretty much very close to having another short touchdown drive for them if they're able to do it again. And still, this has been quite the problem for Stony Brook as the offense still not getting anywhere. Fields making a very late call by throwing it to Helms, not realizing that Collins was there to collide with him as he was attempting to make the ball. So Edwards fakes it, throwing over to his left for Espinette, but just went too wide. Espinette nearly had his hands on it as he fell out of bounds along the left corner. Pass goes incomplete. 2nd and goal at the 5 coming up.
Deshaun Owens on the breakup. 2nd and goal. From the 5.
Dejan Owens there to make the coverage on the play, one of the starters in the transfer from Colorado State. From Los Angeles, it's grad. So once again, you have 2nd and goal from the 5 coming up. As Isaac Seed in the backfield again, it'll be handed off to him, but there's nowhere for him to go. He does get 2 yards on the play, but then stopped.
Isaac Seedy on the carry.
Stopped initially with not much to go.
King on the stop.
Tyler King called for the tackle on the play, and a 3rd and short coming up.
And you see the Seawolves are staying strong at the UNH goal line, trying to make sure that they don't score. Those last 2 possessions, one with the breakup and one with the stop and the run. Let's see what happens on 3rd down.
While 3rd down's coming up, we'll see what the offensive coordinator tries to work on, because a new game plan needs to happen. It's 3rd and goal now. It's still in Lob in the backfield. Quick switch for the Wildcats on the offensive line.
Motioning left.
Law being motioned to the left as well.
And
Edwards throwing over the middle to Espinette, makes the catch in double coverage, and he gets into. Thanks, Matt. So we return now to midway through the 2nd quarter of action here at LaValle Stadium, where so far it's New Hampshire that's been the dominant team from start to finish. They have a 20-0 lead on the Seawolves, who they have been able to force back-to-back turnovers off of, forcing the fumble on Jaden Cook and picking off Tykel Fields from within the Seawolves territory. And Momo, even though the backup is still in play here for the Wildcats, it hasn't really faced them, and looks like they're really making themselves quite a strong start. I mean, if anything, looks like the supporting cast around Edwards could be the crucial factor, because it seems like it's mattered more than worrying about backup playing.
Yes, and it's just been the UNH defense has been leading them to good possessions to their goal line. 2 possessions, one the fumble by Jaden Cook, and the next one the pickoff, Tykel Fields, and both leading them to the same spot at Stony Brook's 5-yard line and leading them to the score. With any team, you give them 5 yards to only score, it's possible. It's very easy for them to score.
So Jordan Kahn kicks into the end zone, another touchback, another 25-yard start for the Seawolves. The same offense still on the field. If they can't find a way to get it down the field in any way soon enough, chances are there's going to have to be something drastically changed here, because Chuck Priori is not having any luck with his offense trying to make any plays. It's just been too easy for New Hampshire to get their last 2 touchdowns, that they had to start from just with a 1st and goal on their last 2 drives. So the first down coming up. The handoff to the left for Tyson Lawton. He breaks free, getting across the 40, right to the 40-yard line, and right over to the 43 for a gain of 18 yards. So that's one of the biggest plays that Stony Brook has made so far tonight.
And that was huge. Great run by Tyson Lawton for an 18-yard gain. And now let's see that the Seawolves can have momentum on their offense with that big run by Tyson Lawton.
Stony Brook has had some deficits here at home before. The last time they were down, like somewhat of this fashion, was against UAlbany, down 24-0. They nearly made a comeback, but did fall short. Fields throwing over to the middle, right near midfield. Pass is complete to Sean Harris Jr. to the 49. A 6-yard gain on the play over to his left. We'll have 2nd and 4 coming up.
Tackle by number 6, Derek Thompson. Gain of 6. 2nd down. 4.
And as I said, Stony Brook has yet to be in New Hampshire territory tonight, and they're just about 2 yards away from being able to do that. They're working now with 2nd and 4 at the 49-yard line. 3 receivers spread out to the right. Here's the snap. The handoff inside to Lawton. He'll break free and cross midfield, and getting it right inside the UNH 48-yard line with just 1 yard left to go on 3rd down.
Stop at number 39, Ryan Toscano.
This is the first time tonight that the Seawolves are starting to see their opponent's territory.
Yeah.
And it took them long enough because them facing a huge deficit like this, they need to find an answer quickly as well as defense. The defense can't be too much of a bother as to why they're down 20-0 because of the fact that UNH's offense didn't have to do too much work, as I said. But if anything, Stony Brook wants to make sure it's better for the defense from here on out. So 3rd and 1. Here comes the handoff inside. And trying to get over, almost looked like he made the first down, Lawton did, but he is called just short with no gain on the play. I don't know about that play because it almost looked like he was able to fall forward. It looks like 4th and 1. They're going to be going for it here. If anything, that does seem like a smart move at this weight. Fields going to take it himself, trying to bust inside, and it looks like he is going to make the first down, just getting across the 47-yard line to the 46. And that's exactly what they needed.
It's a gain of 2, and the Seawolves first down.
And with that, Sean Harris Jr. and Tyson Lawton will check out, bringing back in Hunter Hayek with Khalil Newton, Delonte Helms.
Yeah, that was just a good quarterback sneak by Tyke Fields on 4th and short to now lead them to have a first down. Let's see what happens. Let's see what Seawolves do against their own opponent's territory, as this is the first time they've been in UNH territory the whole game.
At the 46, Fields takes a snap, running to his right. He's going to throw over the middle, and it's nearly intercepted. Tried to go to Delonte Helms, but did not recognize one of the defenders, Pop Bush, that nearly forced another pick off of Fields. And Fields was very fortunate that time, so it will be incomplete. Going outside the pocket can give you some help sometimes by being able to find some more available players, but it seemed like Fields just was throwing it into a very tight window, and that wasn't a very smart move either. So now it will be 2nd and 10, still at the 46-yard line. Here's the snap. Fields going to throw over to his left. Catch made across the 40-yard line by Delonte Helms, forced out of bounds by Derek Thompson. It'll make it 3rd and short. He'll be outside at the 39-yard line. A 7-yard gain on the play.
And now it'll be 3rd and 3.
Another short play coming up here. Short 3 yards that the Seawolves need to extend this drive. Just 3:18 left to go. They get a touchdown here. This game is not out of their reach.
Yeah. They get a touchdown here, get a stop, probably get the ball probably get the ball next half and can go down and score.
So here's the 3rd and 3. Fields going to throw a deep shot down to his right to Khalil Newton, and he throws it intercepted. It's picked up by Evan Horn. He's going the other way. He's got some receivers in front of him. He's going inside the 20, and he gets it right into the Stony Brook 18-yard line.
And another interception by the UNH defense. And are we surprised? Evan Horn picking up Tykel Fields with a good return. And now UNH is in the red zone. And I don't know what to say about that pick because it looked like Tykel overthrew his receiver because Delonte Helms was wide open through the middle, but he just overthrew him. And now UNH is going to be in Seawolves territory.
Well, I don't know what to say about Tyrell Fields' progress in his last few seasons as the starter for Stony Brook. Ever since Joe Carbone graduated, he just has not been looking like the player has been able to keep Stony Brook on top, and he has had his problems with his arm strength that he tends to overthrow too much. So from the 18-yard line, Edwards in the offense once again. Edwards with a lot of room running to his right. He's going to get across the 15 inside the 10 for a first down. And he gets out of bounds at the 7-yard line.
Out of bounds at the Stony Brook 7-yard line.
And
it's a gain of 13. Good for
a nice run by Edwards. Seeing nobody, improvising, running 13 yards, running out of bounds, and now it leads to UNH first down. And looks like they're in first and goal against the Seawolves territory.
Well, back up for Tyrell Fields is Joshua Zamont, who had some playing action against Delaware back on March 13th when Fields had an injury. We'll see whether or not they may eventually decide to pull Fields, because at this rate, if Fields doesn't improve, that may be the smart choice. So the handoff over to the left for Lobb. It's actually Washington inside the 5, trying to dive into the end zone. He's just a yard short.
Washington on the carry.
And Carlos Washington with the run, leading them second and short now. But it was a good run by Carlos Washington, running in for 5 yards and trying to dive into the goal line. But now they're at the Seawolves 2-yard line, and let's see if they can score here.
Just 2 yards away from making a very big lead. That's going to make things go out of control for Stony Brook. And Tyrell Fields still comes back in. I don't know if anybody's going to be really happy about that because of how he hasn't really been able to get them a score yet. Just a minute and a half left to go. Edwards getting the handoff over to Washington. He's trying to bust in, and he just misses by being a yard short.
Wow, it looked like he was going to score that. He broke over like 2 tackles, but just a nice job by the Seawolves building a wall around him and making sure that he doesn't try to score into their goal line.
So third and goal coming up now at the 1-yard line. Stony Brook's going to have to work with a blitz here to try and pressure Edwards. And it looks like before that, it looks like there may be a timeout coming up. Clock is still winding down as we're under a minute to go in the first half. And eventually that's what it's going to be. Play clock was at 9, and the clock will stop at 58 seconds as New Hampshire will call their first timeout of the game. 58 seconds left. New Hampshire on the cusp of scoring another touchdown off a turnover. Their last 2 drives, quick touchdowns off of the turnovers that they forced on the Jane Cook fumble and the Tyrell Fields interception. And after forcing another one just before, thanks to Evan Horn picking it up on an underthrown pass, we'll see if it's close enough for Brett Edwards to try and make another one. So as they take their time, Stony Brook needs to find a way to try and stop them from getting a touchdown this time. It's just still been out of control for Stony Brook. Defense still can't be too much to blame right now. It's got to be all in the offense because the defense, they're forced to have to work their last few possessions from deep inside their own territory, and not too much work for New Hampshire to work with, because from where it stands right now, if New Hampshire would start where they usually would, around the 25, they would usually probably find themselves around midfield, and eventually the Stony Brook's defense could wear them out to try and get that stop that they need. They've had some stops before, but now it started to slow down ever since Saban Nekhet did not let the ball go into the end zone for a touchback and rather try and take it, getting tackled at the 5-yard line. And on the first snap, Jane Cook losing possession of the ball. We still have yet to see the likes of Jane Turner in. He had some good speed to show during the spring season, and we'll see whether or not any change in the run game comes for Chuck Priori to call on him. I've seen him on the sideline right now with his kicker, Guglielmello, who has yet to get any action. So out of timeout, third and goal at the 1-yard line coming up with just 58 seconds left. Full set of timeouts for Stony Brook, but if they eventually do get the ball back with that much time, don't expect them to pass as they continue to be reliant each year on just running the clock out even with a full set of timeouts. Now the clock is showing 48 seconds.
Seawolves fans, it's third and goal.
So here it comes, third and goal. Here's the snap, and up to his running back, and he is stuffed, and it doesn't look like he's going to get there. The tackle made on Isaac Seed, and the Seawolves are able to stop them from getting a touchdown.
And that was just a great tackle by Isaac Seed, tackling Lobb, and now we'll see what UNH will do here. Will they go for it, or will they just kick the field goal?
I haven't seen any indication yet that the field goal unit is coming out. The offense is still staying on the field, which could be a bit of a mistake. Although, it is looking like they're going to go let it wind down to the final seconds before calling their second timeout. And it looks like that is what it's going to be. The offense goes back over to the sideline, and it looks like they're just going to milk this to the last few seconds as Sean McDonald will call a timeout right here with just 1 second left.
So it looks like they will bring out their field goal unit to try to score.
It looks like this time Jordan Kahn, instead of hitting an extra point, is going to go for the field goal to try and make it a 23-0 lead for UNH. We're very fortunate for Stony Brook on that play after Tyler King and Redkey DiManchi was able to combine for that tackle for loss on Isaac Seed. And the Eagles desperately need that. They want to get hope in. And we'll see whether, and we'll hope to see any significant changes in halftime.
Good job by Tyler King. We've been saying his name a lot. He's been actually playing good on defense, trying to get in a lot of tackles, filling in the gaps, doing his job, and giving a lot of momentum to the Seawolves team, to be honest, because...
Mind you, he's a freshman, believe it or not, and already he's playing like a veteran experience.
Yeah.
And they're not going for the field goal here. With 1 second left, they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Very
and before they have a
call, and now the Seawolves will call timeout, I think.
Well, no, Stony Brook was completely expecting that, so it looks like Chuck Rior is going to call a timeout here, try and talk about how they're going to try and make a big stop here. Because if that's the case, if Stony Brook can probably hold them to a 20-0 lead at halftime, then a comeback is still possible, however unlikely. But if there's any chance for them to make a comeback, the offense needs to step up, because once again, to begin the season for the second time in a row, they're going to be held scoreless. Because all the offense is still having the troubles. We saw them have trouble last year as well. Only 14 points total against Villanova to begin the season. Only 3 at Delaware. 19 at home, surrendering a lot more to Maine. And the only caveat, and the only thing that was able to accomplish was being able to get a 21-7 win at New Albany. So, here it comes. 4th and goal at the 1-yard line. Can New Hampshire make it 26 or 27-0 lead? A handoff over to Lob, and he is nowhere to go. He loses yards on the play.
So, and that is just a great way to bring momentum going into the second half when they get ball back. Wow. Surprising call for UNH to go for it. Didn't get it. And now the Seawolves will go at halftime 20-0, but it will lead them to bring momentum to go into this the second half.
A huge blitz. Dylan Lobb losing 2 yards on the play. The tackle made by McKay Smith and Brandon Lopez, the outside defensive ends for Stony Brook's starters on defense, and that's exactly what they needed. It will still remain a 3-score lead for the Wildcats, which means if Stony Brook's offense does kick it into high gear in the second half, a comeback is possible, but halftime is here, and it's going to be quite a long one at the very least. Stony Brook deferred in the first half, so they will receive the ball to begin the second half. The offense needs to find an answer here out of the blue. If they can get a touchdown on this drive, then it looks, and there's still a chance, as they're still down 20-0. But what they need to do here is get that touchdown in some way. Because once again, to begin the season, the Seawolves have been held scoreless in the first half. So, kickoff from Jordan Kahn, and it'll be Jaden Turner to return it. Trying to get a hole up the middle, and jumps around across the 25-yard line and brought down at the 28. And so Stony Brook will begin half number 2 right near the 30-yard line. So same as before, Tyrell Field still in the backfield with Tyson Lawton. You get your receivers out there, Khalil Newton to his left, and Delonte Helens to his right.
I expect here, if Tyler Fields cannot deliver on this possession, the coach might have to pull him out and put Jackson Martin.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody else, because Fields has not had the answers. He has thrown 2 picks so far. Yeah. Fields fakes the snap, throws over to his left, gets to Khalil Newton, but he threw it too low. Newton couldn't make a good catch, and it goes incomplete.
Yes, and you're right. Tyler Fields has not been really looking good this evening. Throwing for 57 yards, 2 picks, having a 58.3 completion rating and completion percentage, and it's just been looking bad. He's been underthrowing receivers, overthrowing receivers, and he hasn't been able to actually move the ball to their territory. They only moved the ball to their territory only one time, and that led to a pick right after they led them to the UNH territory. So let's see what happens.
The incomplete pass makes it 2nd and 10. Lawton will go over to his left. Here's the snap. And Fields sticking with it, actually. He's trying to find a way inside. He gets across the 35-yard line, spinning around right to the 38, and he'll make it a first down for Stony Brook.
Taken down by number 23, Pop Bush.
And
It is a gain of 11.
And that was just a nice run by Tykel Fields, running out of the pressure, and now leading the Seawolves to a first down for an 11-yard gain.
Well, Brett Edwards has been pretty much doing the same thing as well this season. I mean, so far in this game, you may as well figure that Fields, because he can run well, he ought to do the same thing. When he can run, it also pretty much changes up everything offensively, and hopefully that is what it can lead to. So they're now at the 39-yard line, first down. Fields fakes it, throws it away, and he almost had Tyler DeVera across midfield. He had to throw it out of the sack, incomplete.
And that was just good pressure by the UNH defensive line, getting to Tykel Fields, making him overthrow that football, and now it's going to be second down.
Well, if anything, Fields was able to keep himself from being sacked, or if anything, lucky enough that ball wasn't intercepted. The fact is, DeVera was pretty much in the vicinity and almost looked like that DeVera could have been close to making a catch. So once again, 2nd and 10. We'll see if Fields decides to hand it off again or keep it himself. He will look to throw, throwing it deep over the middle. He does find Khalil Newton. He almost tried to go in, but apparently Pop Bush read him spinning around, tackles him right at the 44-yard line, and cuts the first down distance in half.
And 5-yard gain by Khalil Newton. Nice throw by Tykel Fields. And now it's 3rd down and 5, which is really interesting because the Seawolves have not been able to get nothing on 3rd down. They're 0 for 7 this evening on 3rd down. And there's a flag thrown on the play.
Gets a little tough now as the false start is called on the Seawolves. So push them back to the 39-yard line, so it'll be 3rd and 10.
Well, so that 5 yards is for nothing, basically.
And the mistakes just keep coming for Stony Brook. The offense continuing to have their problems, and they need to find a way to get to the 49-yard line here. Just a minute and a half into the second half, they're trying to get the ball down the field. As Fields is receiving instructions from his offensive coordinator, Chris Bacci. Lawton in the backfield, 3 receivers spread out. 3rd and 10 coming up. Play clock winding down to 2. He gets the snap. Fields trying to get out of the pocket. Throws a deep shot over to his left, and it's nearly intercepted. And a hand on it by Randall Harris, so it'll be incomplete, and it'll have to punt it again.
And another incompletion by Tykel Fields was going to lead them to a punt, and now Stony Brook is 0 for 8 on 3rd down. And as you can see, that was pretty interesting by UNH. They had 2 safeties down deep. One of them dropped to the middle, and one of them dropped back, which is a really good disguise defense by UNH, disguising a cover 3, which is really good. But, you know, the Seawolves once again cannot get going offensively, and once again, another 3 and out, and now they're going to have to punt the football.
And that's what Wright does once more, as Evan Horn tracking the ball down, doesn't get a handle on it yet. It goes inside the 10, and it goes out of bounds before it hits the 5 and goes right to the 7-yard line. So a nice kick by Mitchell Wright from his own 39. And so when you put it like that, 54-yard punt by number 51. So New Hampshire will begin the ball at their own 7-yard line. And once again, Tykel Fields is not able to get a score to begin half number 2, and time starting to whittle away here, even though we just begun half number 2. And you still need to think there has to be somebody else other than Tykel Fields, because Fields has not been able to find an answer for them. You got to probably find somebody else. And like I said, Joshua Samo could be the backup eventually coming in.
Yeah.
So Brett Edwards has his 3 receivers to his left, Washington in the backfield. I'll hand it off to Washington, trying to move over to his left, and immediately met by Casey Williams. Actually, it's Tyler King as he shows off, getting credit for the tackle. Loses a yard on the play, 2nd and 11.
A nice job by Tyler King. Realizing run, covering that B gap. Nice tackle for a loss. Nice tackle for a loss for 2 yards, and now it'll be 2nd down and 12.
Stats show that as McKay Smith. But for Tyler King, he has 3 total tackles today. Team high 7 for Island Lyland. And we'll see whether or not that keeps it up, because Stony Brook, when they are able to have the opponents start from deep in their own territory, defense is capable of good. Receivers spread out evenly. Brett Edwards throwing a loop over to Carlos Washington, almost tackled. He's able to get rid of it, and he gets almost to the 10-yard line, right to the 9. Manages a gain of 3 on the play. It looks like Isaiah Gibbons was close to forcing another tackle for a loss that would have had him just 1 yard short of a safety, and now we have a 3rd and long coming up. And you see the missed tackles just continue to be a bit of a problem for Stony Brook, but luckily enough it wasn't on that play. It's still going to be a pretty long upcoming 3rd down coming up for the Wildcats, and Stony Brook really wants to stop them here as well. So 3 receivers out to the right. Washington in the backfield with Brett Edwards. Play clock's winding down. It's at 1. He has to get it off.
And a false start.
Well, either way, it was going to be a 5-yard penalty. Well, actually, since they're inside the 10 and at the 9-yard line, may as well, it's going to be half the distance to the goal. So, match is going to be right at the 5-yard line now. It was make a 3rd even more long.
Delay of game penalty on New Hampshire.
So, delay of game.
Yeah, the play clock was winding down, and usually we used to think that Stony Brook would have their issues with trying to get the ball off in time, but it looks like New Hampshire is starting to have that same type of trouble here tonight. So now instead of 3rd and 9, it's now going to be 3rd and 13 at the 5-yard line. 5 receivers are spread out. Edwards all alone in the backfield. Now Washington is coming back into the backfield.
Running blitz. Stony blitzing.
They do. They throw over to the left.
Nice screen pass.
Over to Khan, trying to get across. He gets across to the 15-yard. He gets right to the 15-yard line, but he is 3 yards short. Only makes it a 10-yard gain, and Stony Brook is able to eventually force a 3rd and out, and so the punting unit will come up for the Wildcats.
Stop by Stony Brook's number 20.
Lay again really messed up the UNH momentum on offense, and now Seawolves will get the ball back. Well, we would like to see what would Coach Farrar do. Will he continue to stick with Fields, or will he put in Joshua Zama?
We'll see as Sabat Neke looks ready to field it right near midfield. Punt upcoming by Tyrell Wiggins.
Flag.
And it didn't even get that far. It only makes it to right to 35-yard line. And we'll see what it is.
It looked like a neutral zone infraction.
The one is down at the UNH 37-yard line.
It's going to leave us clueless to see what this penalty is. Both sides returning here. Looks like some of the special teams for Stony Brook is still on the field. And we'll wait to see what the penalty is. And it's an offside on Stony Brook, so that's going to allow New Hampshire.
Offside.
So they don't need to worry about the punt. It's going to be as first down instead for the Wildcats. A blown opportunity for the Seawolves to get the ball back.
That had to be a heartbreaking, because they was about to get the ball back in UNH territory, and now UNH have a chance now to go down and score, because now they're back on the field on offense, because it was 4th and 3, and since it's an offside, it's 5 yards. Since it was 4th and 3, that allows UNH to get a first down now.
Isaac Seed now in the backfield with Brett Edwards, first down at the 20-yard line. Receiver set in motion. He'll hand it off to Seed, and he gets across the 20-yard line, making it right to the 24 for a 4-yard gain on the play. Looks like Tyler King is once again there to make the tackle.
Seed on the carry.
About the fewer different running backs that the Wildcats are using so far tonight. While for Stony Brook, seem more interested in using Tyson Lawton and Jane Cook. However, we have yet to see Jaden Turner in the backfield, and after what we've seen of him in the last few years in the spurts that he's played, he's deserving of a running back play as well. So Brett Edwards moving over to his right, nearly tipped, and Sean Kahn trying to make the catch. He does. Out of bounds at the 34-yard line, the first down for the Wildcats again.
Number 83, Sean Coyne.
No, just a good job by Sean Coyne. Holding on to that catch after that big hit to the sideline.
The gain is good enough for a Wildcat first down.
It's a really tough play right there. Toe dragging it along the Stony Brook sideline. Just barely able to make that catch. Now first down is at the 34-yard line. 3 receivers spread out to the left. Seed once again in the backfield with Edwards. It's actually Lobb who gets the handoff. Just trying to get across the 35-yard line, but he only gets as far as the 36 for a gain of 2.
Lobby on the carry.
With all the time they're allowing New Hampshire to milk the clock, it's not giving Stony Brook any benefits at all to try and make a comeback. Their chances are starting to run slim here, especially slim enough that they could probably end up losing first game of the season once again. had a better knack for being able to win home openers in the past. But it looks like in these last 2 home openers, they have not really seen success. 2nd and 8 now at the 36-yard line. 4 receivers spread out, 1 set in motion. It's Coyne. Edwards throwing a deep ball down. Wide open.
Wide open.
Espinette. He makes the catch getting across the 20-yard line. Chased down by Reddick, and he dives to the end zone for a Wildcats touchdown. Brian Espinette firing 64 yards on a catch and run, and Espinette, one of the top-notch receivers for the team, continues to extend New Hampshire's lead and make it Stony Brook's nightmare.
Wow. Nice throw by Brett Edwards to Espinette for a 64-yard touchdown. Espinette broke loose into the Seawolves secondary. Brett Edwards found him wide open, led them for a touchdown. And Brett Edwards has really been playing good today. 15 for 20, throwing for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. And that was his largest throw of the day, 64 yards.
Well, he was pretty much the killer for Stony Brook in the last time both teams played against each other, and that could be a dagger even though we are midway through the 3rd quarter, as the extra point by Jordan Kahn is good. So, New Hampshire is able to strike first in the 3rd quarter. They extend New Hampshire's lead. They make it a 27-0 lead. We'll go back to Matt in the studio for another studio update for another media timeout. 8:37 left to go. New Hampshire continuing to keep it one-sided. They lead the Seawolves 27-0. Thanks, Matt. So back at LaValle Stadium, we're pretty much may as well see it as New Hampshire being the one that's showing the dominance tonight. Yeah. Getting a touchdown, especially by being able to get bailed out on that offsides when they were about to punt it on 4th and short. They're up 27-0, and it'll be another kickoff coming up.
You see, this is just why it's important to be disciplined, especially on defense. If Stony Brook didn't have that offside when they was playing the football, this would have never happened. They would have actually had the ball back and probably had momentum going back on the offensive side. Now, that just looked like it was just a dagger to just put this game away. Now, UNH is up 27-0, and it's going to be very hard for Stony Brook to even mount a comeback in this game.
New Hampshire playing with a backup quarterback as Jaden Turner trying to get it across. He only makes it to the 25-yard line. It'll be another drive coming up for Stony Brook, and Tyquell Fields still coming out onto the field. And a lot of people may not really like that, and I am not really certain about that play either, because Tyquell Fields has still not had success tonight. May as well think of somebody else, and if this continues, it's just going to continue to create a lot more problems with him. His last season with Stony Brook, and even though it doesn't look like he's going to be able to try and finish it off with a bang, if anything. His team doesn't really look like they have the caliberness to be competing for a playoff spot. First down, Fields fakes it. Looking for a player wide open. He does spot one, finds Sean Harris Jr., and it's just underthrown, broken up by Noah Stansberry in an incomplete pass.
And Tyquell Fields' pass was just underthrown. Sean Harris had the secondary beat. If he would have connected that ball, it would have been a nice touchdown, a nice strike for the Seawolves. As you see, the Seawolves have not been able to answer against this UNH defense this whole evening.
Yeah, if Sean Harris Jr. had made that catch, he could have been able to make it all the way for a 74-yard score, but instead, Seawolves are just going to go for 2nd and 10 here from their own 26-yard line. 3 receivers spread out to the left. Fields looking. He'll throw a screen over to his left for a long, and it was just far out of his reach, and another incomplete pass. And again, it just continues to be a very big problem for Tyquell Fields, as he's not being able to go on target to find any of his weapons at all. So Sabaneka will come in for Tyson Lawton now. 3rd and 10 coming up at the 26-yard line. Fields being patient, receiving instructions once again from the sideline, looking for that breakout play. 3 receivers are now spread out. Here's the snap. Fields looking. He's going to throw a deep shot over to his right. He does have a player. It's Delonte Helms. Actually, no. Delonte Helms used to wear 81. That was a player who wore 81. But it was a deep ball down the play right into New Hampshire territory at the 42-yard line. The catch was made by R.J. Lamar, and it's a Seawolves first down.
And that was just the Seawolves' largest game of this evening. Tyquell Fields threw that to R.J. Lamar, and now they're in UNH territory. And if he didn't foul, that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, it's always got to be able to stay on your feet. So here's the first down. It'll be the handoff inside to Neckhead trying to bust through. He's able to. He's getting a first. He's going to get a first down across the 25-yard line and knocked out of bounds by Randall Harris at the 20-yard line. And the offense finally starting to come through midway through this third quarter. Big play starting to come here, especially on starting from that 3rd and 10 long throw to Lamar from Tykewell Fields and handoff to Sabat Neckhead and Stony Brook. Now down at the 19-yard line, they are finally in field goal range.
And Siba Neckhead with a nice run for about 23 yards, and that was just really good by Siba Neckhead.
Fields will hand it off.
Making a lot of tackles miss. And
get up the left of Tyson Lawton, and he's dragged down, but he gets across the 10-yard line, another first down. And it looks like their confidence on this drive is starting to give them a chance to avoid being shut out as they're now at the 9-yard line.
And wow, the Seawolves is finally trying to answer against the UNH defense. This is the best the Seawolves offense have looked this whole evening.
They're going quick again, a handoff to the left to Lawton, and this time the Wildcats defense doesn't allow a big gain on the play. About 2 or 3 yards, Noah Stansberry initiating the tackle.
Pop push, the first to get there. Gain of 1. 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line.
That was the first time all night on that Tykewell Fields long pass to Lamar that the Seawolves were able to convert on 3rd down. So now I have 2nd and goal at the 7-yard line. 3 receivers spread out, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Neckhead in the backfield. Hayek sent in motion. Fields running to his right. He does see Hayek. He makes the catch and just a yard short. No. He lost control of the ball and it falls incomplete. Randall Harris knocking the ball loose. But we do have a penalty on the play, and we'll see who it's on.
Yeah. Even though it was an incomplete pass, that was just a great decision by Tykewell Fields.
It looks like whatever it was, they're calling it on New Hampshire. It's an offside penalty. So instead, it will be 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. It won't be a 3rd and goal from the 7. Bit of luck right there, because it would have been a pretty long play coming up for the Seawolves to try and get into the end zone for their first score of the night.
Now it's 2nd and goal, and they have 3 more yards to put out their first points this evening.
It's going to. They got 2 plays to make 3 yards. And hopefully it shouldn't be hard, but the goal line defense for New Hampshire could be threatening. They hand off inside to Lawton, bust into the end zone, and the Seawolves are finally on the board. Touchdown, Dyson Lawton.
And finally, the Seawolves have scored with the run by Tyson Lawton running through the B gap for the score. And now Stony Brook is down 6-27 against UNH. Hopefully, that was a big momentum strike for them.
Getting down the field with a little time, starting with 8:33 to go, just over 2 minutes gone by on this drive. And now Guglielmello will go for the extra point. Tyson Lawton, he's a great running back. Low snap, kick up, and it is good. Gets right through the uprights, and the Seawolves are finally able to get a score of their own. They have cut the deficit back down to 20. It's now a 27-7 lead for the Wildcats. And now,
all yours, guys.
Thanks, Matt. So we return from our media timeout here at LaValle Stadium, where after things were getting pretty icky for Stony Brook offensively and defensively, the offense, once again for the second season in a row in their opening game, doesn't get a touchdown until the 3rd quarter, but at least there won't be a shutout. Tyson Lawton with 37 yards so far in this game, being able to punch in for the Seawolves' first touchdown of the fall season of 2021. So they'll work with their first kickoff since the beginning of this game. It'll be Angelo Guglielmello to do that. It took long enough for Stony Brook to finally get down a little offense, unless, of course, New Hampshire was deciding to wind down their defense because they believe that they're still going to win this game, which does start to seem pretty likely at this rate. But if anything, that's still got to make Stony Brook feel good in some way.
Yeah, at least they finally, scored after like 2 quarters and a half without scoring, and now they put some points on the board against this UNH defense.
Guglielmello will kick it away. Pop Bush will field it at the 2-yard line. Trying to make a run. Looks like one of the Wildcats forced to fall down. It looks like Lob trying to make a tackle. He's still on his feet.
He goes back.
He goes backwards. He's almost across the 30, but falling down, he gets tackled at the 29-yard line. Tackle made by Nick Capizzola. I don't know if that was a good idea by Lob. He could have gone further, maybe being across the 35-yard line. But instead, Wildcats have to start from their own 29. Pretty questionable call. I mean, we've seen players in the past, both college and pro alike, trying to make some shifty plays that do eventually lead to some unbelievable scores. Even I remember one time a few years ago when Tariq Cohen had a touchdown on a punt return against San Francisco, where at first the announcers were saying he's going the wrong way, but then when he does eventually get a score, they do say he is going the right way. But this time for Lob, he did not go the right way.
Yeah, he shouldn't have went that way. He should have kept going straight.
So at the 29-yard line with 4 receivers spread out, Isaac Seed in the backfield with Edwards. He'll get the handoff, running to his left. Avoids a tackle from behind, trying to get across right to the 40-yard line. Ball is loose on the floor, and it's picked up by Jordan Jackson with the recovery right at the New Hampshire 41-yard line.
Wow, that touchdown did bring a lot of momentum to the Seawolves defense, and now the Seawolves will get the ball back. Ball is loose, Seawolves ball. Let's see what Takel Phillips do to answer on this defensive turnover by UNH.
And what they got to do here is get another quick touchdown if they can. Because with that turnover, they can get a touchdown, then it's really possible that this game may not be down.
Yeah.
So the Seawolves would begin possession immediately in New Hampshire territory at the 43-yard line. And we're just waiting for confirmation. The ball did go out, and the refs are actually going to talk this one over, just make sure. Again, it's a turnover, and all turnover review. We're going to have to see for ourselves if the refs are going to take a look at this one. From our angle, it did look like the ball was forced out. Isaac Seed with a 12-yard rush for a first down, but then eventually Tyler King forcing it, and Jordan Jackson able to pick it up. They're probably looking to see whether or not Isaac C. was down by contact before the ball came loose. Or actually, you don't have to be down by contact in college. One knee of your own volition, even with that, and the play will still end up going dead. So they're either waiting to see whether or not C had his knee down before the ball came loose, or if it was a clear recovery by Jordan Jackson. However, I didn't see anything on that play that would indicate otherwise. What about you, Momo?
Well, yeah, I didn't really see anything rare on that play that didn't really indicate that the ball was going to be back to UNH, but it seemed like a fair recovery by Stony Brook. So let's see what happens.
We'll see whether or not it takes a little while for this to be looked at. Two refs are talking this one over right at the New Hampshire 20-yard line. Both teams are in the huddle. See the offense for Stony Brook and the defense for New Hampshire out on the field still. 5:56 left to go in the third quarter. You can definitely get 2 touchdowns in a quarter as long as you have both the offensive and defensive mindset. And it looks like Stony Brook can do that still if they are able to play that conservatively. So, looks like the offense is remaining on the field, and that means that the call will stand. It will be the fumble forced by Tyler King on Isaac Seed, picked up by Jordan Jackson. And the call is confirmed. So it will stay Stony Brook possession on a crucial turnover for Stony Brook being able to force it for the first time tonight. First they get their first touchdown tonight, then they force their first turnover of the night. And we'll see if they can start and use that more as a momentum boost to try and get back in this game. Still down by 20, but let's see if they can make the comeback. Here's the snap, Fields faking. He throws over to his right, underthrown to the Khalil Newton, who is at the 20-yard line, incomplete.
Yeah, that was just an underthrow by Takel Fields, but Takel Fields should have thrown that ball quicker because he was open, but he threw it a bit late, and it was underthrown, and the safety was able to read it. So
looks like he was trying to get a big play to continue the momentum, but it looks like it's halted for the time being. So 2nd and 10 now at the 43-yard line. 3 receivers spread out. Lawton in the backfield with Fields. Looking to try and drive down the field. He'll go for another pass. He'll throw it, overthrown, and luckily enough, Randall Harris fell down before he could make a pick. And it looked like it was going right towards Khalil Newton again, and once again, it's incomplete. It's still so many mistakes with the throws that Tyrell Fields is making. He hasn't really shown that much of a good accuracy so far. 9 of 21, and only 94 yards he has thrown here in this game compared to the 175 yards that Brett Edwards has thrown. It's really hard to see. If you Tyrell Fields, most experienced player in college football, up against Brett Edwards, it's pretty hard. So play clock winding down to 2. It looks like Stony Brook will have to call a timeout before a delay of game penalty. We're going to have to use this timeout to find a way to get to the 33-yard line. Well, you get the fumble, and you've seen what New Hampshire was able to do to get a score off of it, except for the last time they got the turnover on Tyrell Fields. A pick, but Stony Brook making that goal line stand to end the first half. If anything, they still need to do something, because if it wasn't for that Brian Espinette being wide open for the touchdown, then this could have been a chance for Stony Brook to cut it to a 2-score game.
Yeah.
Actually, it would have been a 2-score game already, probably a 1-score game, which would have made this game a lot more interesting than it is now. So it was a quick timeout, 30 seconds. And both teams coming back onto the field. Stony Brook 3rd and 10, down 27-7, with 5:49 left to go in the third quarter at the 43-yard line. Must get to the 33 to extend this drive. And it depends on whether or not they get close enough on 4th down that they'll go for it. Let's see what happens here first. 3 receivers out to the right. Lawton still in the backfield. Here's the snap. They hand it off to Lawton. I don't know why. He gets to the 40-yard line, makes about 2 or 3 yards on the play, and a 4th and long coming up.
That was a shocking call by Chuck Priore to run the ball on 3rd down.
Every play that Chuck Priore has pretty much called for Fields and his team to do has been pretty much a mystery, and it's very questionable to see, because why would you hand it off on 3rd and long?
Yeah.
So it's going to be 4th and 8. Offense is still on the field, and we do have an offside, so a free play for Fields. He's going to take a deep shot for Khalil Newton, and he makes the cross to the end zone! Touchdown, Stony Brook! Capitalizing on the offsides. Khalil Newton, his first touchdown as a Seawolf, and Stony Brook is right back in this game. Unbelievable. And with that flag on the play, that happened after the touchdown. But if anything, Derek continues the confidence booster for the Seawolves that they desperately need here in this third quarter in half number 2.
And that was just a great read by Tyrell Fields, seeing Malik Love wide open. Khalil Newton wide open for the touchdown. And now this is a 2-score game.
So let's see, as they did call the touchdown good. Of course, it was the offside, and then they eventually do call it on sportsmanlike conduct afterwards on Stony Brook. And usually when it comes to big touchdown plays like that, you can get a little too ahead of yourself. 41-yard dart from Tyrell Fields, and that penalty will be assessed on the, as you heard, penalty assessed on the kickoff, but doesn't change the fact that the Seawolves are back, puts this back into a 2-score game, pending the extra point. Guglielmo now set to go for the extra point again. Good snap, kick up, and it is good. So Stony Brook with back-to-back touchdowns drives of their own. They have cut it to 13 with 5:17 left to go. And there is still hope yet for Chuck Priore, Tyrell Fields, and the squads. It's just really been important, and really already, and how they were able to immediately pull up a switch like that, taking advantage of the offside on New Hampshire. That mistake, who knows if that'll come back to bite the Wildcats.
Yes, Zach, you're right. You never know that mistake can come back to bite the Wildcats, and that was just a good read, a good job by Tyrell Fields. Realizing there's an offside, take the deep shot, and Khalil Newton happened to be wide open, breaking loose on the secondary, and for them to score a touchdown. And now we're seeing the Seawolves gain a lot of momentum, and now this is actually a 2-score game, which is, you got yourself pretty much a ball game a little bit. Seawolves is trying to come back, and we'll see the momentum happen on the defensive side when UNH gets back on offense.
Be surprised how Tyrell Fields is starting to get pretty lucky in this game. Usually think that when you're down 27-0 midway through the third quarter, you would start to get pulled. But because Chuck Priore decided not to stick with Tyrell Fields to the very end, it would seem, and it looks like that has given It's giving his team hope. So it's going to be a kick by Guglielmo to the 20-yard line. It'll be very interesting to see what they do here, because they got to be careful. I mean, you're still midway through this game, and there's still a chance for a comeback, but you can't afford any problems. I mean, we already saw before how that offside on Stony Brook, when they were eventually being able to force the Wildcats to punt it back to them, did lead to a touchdown. They better hope not anything serious here. Guglielmo gets set now. He'll kick it away. It's a nice one that gets right over to across the 15-yard line. Lob trying to make a return on the play. He does break free for the moment, getting across the 40-yard line and makes it down to the 43. Tackle made by Nick Chimienti. So if anything, that was pretty much the best case scenario for Stony Brook in their special teams, not allowing that much space for Dylan Lobb. He was able to find a hole or two, but doesn't get as serious as it almost looked like it could have been.
Yeah. Placed at the UNH 43-yard line, first down.
So the Wildcats will start from their own 43-yard line. Isaac Seed losing the fumble on the last drive that leads to a Stony Brook touchdown. And we'll see if Stony Brook can try and keep the defense going, because if they can, the offense still has a chance to get the team back in this game. Here's the snap. Edwards getting the throw. Getting over to CJ Turner, busting through a hole, getting across midfield and down at the Stony Brook 47-yard line, making 10 yards on the game for a first down. It almost looked like Turner was being reluctant a bit, being able to read the play and eventually find a hole to get through to defenders.
Yeah, it looked like CJ Turner didn't look like it was going to be a hole for CJ Turner, and this is a nice job with his vision, seeing a hole and gaining about 10 yards on that play.
The receiver spread to the right. Carlos Washington getting the handoff, getting able to get through the middle, but not as much as he thought he would. Tyler King being able to drag him down at the 41-yard line for a gain of 6.
Great job by Tyler King, because if he didn't make that tackle, it would have been looking really scary for the Seawolves defense.
So here we have 2nd and 4 now at the 39-yard line for the Wildcats. They're starting to get a little push of their own here because they want to keep their lead. Turner sent in motion in the backfield, getting the handoff to Washington. Washington still getting through, and he loses the football again. It's another recovery for the Seawolves. Lyland going forward. He's getting across the 40. One man to beat, and he gets down at the 20-yard line. Another turnover forced by Stony Brook. Akel Lyland again putting the Seawolves in field goal range. Are you kidding me? I have never seen quite a momentum push by Stony Brook like this.
Wow. Nice return by Lyland, which is just a surprising fumble by Carlos Washington. And Lyland takes it. It's a Stony Brook's territory. It's a UNA's territory, and now Stony Brook has another chance to score, to put this game into a one-score game. Now let's see what Stony Brook do right here offensively by just another good job by the Seawolves defense with back-to-back turnovers.
And there was a flag on the play, but they waved it off. Whatever it was, it would have been after that. So, Stony Brook starting possession at the New Hampshire 20-yard line. Once again, they force a fumble, and we'll see if they can once again be able to score off of it. Getting a touchdown would bring this back into a one-score game. We've seen Stony Brook have great defensive looks in the past. In that first half, it hasn't really gone their way, but here in the second half, it's looked better. Lawton in the backfield. He'll get the handoff from Fields. Trying to run to his right. Pop Bush dragging him down from behind at the 20. Forces a 1-yard gain on the play. 2nd and 9.
23, Pop Bush. Gain of 1. 2nd down, 9.
And they are in field goal range, but they're still eyeing for 6. It'd be impossible. Getting 3 touchdowns in one quarter could make you look like quite a top-notch team. If only Stony Brook had this kind of momentum in the first half, then they'd be the ones probably dominating this game. So 3 receivers are spread out to the left. Play clock is winding down to 8. Lawton to the right of Fields. Here's the snap. Here's the handoff again. Lawton trying to get through. He almost makes it to the 15-yard line. Makes about a few more yards on the play. 3rd and long coming up.
Gain of 1. 3rd down, 8.
at the 18-yard line. From here it would be 36, but still, so will still want to eye that touchdown. But if it's fourth down, if I were them, I'd just stick with going with the field goal, because you don't want to get any hiccups down.
Yeah, you're right, Zach. If I'm them, if they don't get it, go with the field goal, play conservative.
You still got plenty of time. So here's the snap. Fields, pump fakes, throwing a deep shot to the end zone. He may have overthrown that. Newton, did he make the catch with one hand? No, he did not. His left foot was just out of bounds.
Fields' pass intended for Newton is incomplete.
You got to admire Fields getting it there, but Khalil Newton was just a little too much out of bounds, unless his front heel did touch the ground first. And we'll see if this is subject to review, even though I'm not really certain if that was a catch. So like I said, it would be best for Stony Brook to go for the field goal, and after the offense was out there for a few seconds, they are going to stick with that. So they're going to look to try and cut it to a 10-point game here with 2:28 left to go. And that is plenty, and there is still plenty of time for them. Spot snap, but the kick is up and gone and good. From 36 yards out, Guglielmo able to connect it through. And the Seawolves on a 17-0 run now. They cut it to a 10-point lead for the Wildcats. It's 27-17 now with 2:25 left to go in the third quarter. How could this even have happened? I wasn't even aware that the field goal was missed, actually. I thought that he did make it. So no going to field goal. It's still a two-score game, actually. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Wildcats will start from their own 18-yard line. Three receivers spread out. Snap inside to Washington. Trying to get inside. And he gets right to the 25-yard line for a 5-yard gain.
And that was just surprising because it looked like it was good from here. So surprising that Stony actually missed the field goal. Still putting this as a two-score game. Hopefully they can get a stop, but just a 5-yard rush by Carlos Washington Dylan Lobb on first down.
It's tough that Guglielmo was not able to kick that 36-yard field goal. Another handoff to Lobb, running to his left, being able to fade off pressures. We do have a flag on the play, and his looks like this play is going to be coming back. Dylan Lobb being able to get the ball right near midfield, but it looks like we're going to get a Wildcats penalty. It's going to make it 2nd and 15 from the looks of it. Probably one of the first time tonight that we've seen a penalty on the offense for either side.
Holding penalty on the Wildcats.
So a 2nd and long coming up now for Brett Edwards. 1:47 left to go. And when it almost looked like this game was starting to become dead for Stony Brook, looks like we're starting to see some sort of a Lazarus effect. And they're getting closer and closer to coming back.
2nd down, 15.
2nd and 15 now from the 15-yard line. 4 receivers spread out. Washington still in the backfield with Edwards. Edwards getting the talk from Washington. Here's the snap. Edwards has to fake it. It's up in the air and incomplete. Lobb and Lopez were pretty much close. The tip by Brandon Lopez. What an amazing stop right there to prevent a screenplay and a possible big gain on the play. And so 3rd and 15 is coming up.
And a great job by Brandon Lopez, tipping the ball up in the air, now allowing it to be a screen pass, and now it'll be 3rd and long for UNH.
With this long play, Stony Brook does have a good chance here to try and stop them from getting a first down and forcing a 3rd and out. But they had to make a good pass coverage here. 4 receivers spread out, 3 showing blitz. Here's a snap. Edwards moving in motion to his left, getting through in the hole. He has to throw, and the pass is blocked away by Gregory Young and incomplete. So New Hampshire goes 3 and out after they cannot try and capitalize on the missed field goal by Guglielmo. And so the punt will come up now for the Wildcats once again.
And this is great defensive possession by the Seawolves defense, especially on that third down and long play, making sure that Brett Edwards had nobody to throw it to. And this Seawolves defense has really been able to turn it around in the second half. As in the first half, they was not been able to have no answer for Brett Edwards, and now only allowing him to throw only 1 touchdown. That was the opening touchdown in the quarter.
So Netcat gets set at midfield to return the punt. Tyrell Wiggins gets set to receive it. He punts it away. Netcat lets the ball go cleanly. Fields it around. does take a UNH bounce, just getting across the midfield and right down to the Stony Brook 45-yard line. So good field position once again for the Seawolves. And they'll once again work with offense here to try and get another score with just 1:10 left to go in the third quarter. And really, still plenty of time for Stony Brook to make that comeback. I mean, really, it's still possible with any win. I think that Stony Brook does still have the opportunity to get where they want to go.
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of momentum still on their side. If UNH not able to score in that possession, now they get the ball back. Hopefully the Seals could answer off that missed possession off UNH.
Four receivers shown. Fields will throw over the middle, finds Hayek, getting right into the UNH territory and down at the 45-yard line, just inches short of the 44. And it looks like it's going to be second and inches.
Toscano on the stop.
A good throw by Tyquil Fields, throwing it short.
Those are the type of passes that Tyquil Fields need to do a better job of being able to throw. If there were better passes that he threw today, then this game would be a lot closer than it is now. New Hampshire still up 27-14, but Stony Brook's threatening. They'll hand it off again to Neckhead. He's going to get across the 40-yard line and down at the UNH 38-yard line for another first down.
Toscano on the stop.
So we'll get a little bit of a change of the offensive linemen and the receivers. And we'll see whether or not the offense decides to go for one more play before the end of the third quarter. But like I said, still plenty of time. They were on the verge of getting 3 scores within a span of 7 minutes. So fourth quarter is not impossible. So they'll do one more play before third quarter ends. And the fumble is still down, and luckily enough for Stony Brook that Gambino was able to get. So maybe Stony Brook should have gone with letting it go down to the end of the third quarter, but luckily enough, they still have possession in UNH territory. So back here now, in the fourth quarter we go, and Stony Brook on a comeback spree. They're down 13, but still plenty of time to work with. They do have the ball in New Hampshire territory, but facing a 2nd and 16 from the 43-yard line. 3 receivers are spread out. Here's the snap. Fields facing the rush, throws, tried to get to a receiver with a flag on the play. Khalil Newton was the intended target. We'll see who the penalty is on. It looks like it's going on against New Hampshire. Usually when a flag is spotted, it would be against Stony Brook, but it was an offsides on the Wildcats. Instead of 2nd and 16 or a 3rd and 16, it's now 2nd and 11. So it looks like they get a little more of a hope right there. Fact is, they were lucky enough that they were able to pick back up the fumble that was lost by Tyson Lawton right before the end of the third quarter. Anthony Catapano responsible for being able to pick it up and keep the ball on the side of Stony Brook. Just 3 seconds into the fourth quarter. They may look to start getting a little more antsy here and get a touchdown to get themselves back within this game, because New Hampshire can go back on a scoring drive whenever they want, it would seem. 2nd and 11, Fields looking, avoiding the pressure, trying to get out of there. He cannot, and thrown down at the 40-yard line for a loss of 2 on the play. So that'll make it 3rd and long coming up. Not good at the pass protection that it would seem for Fields. He didn't have that much time. And just wondering if anybody out there was wide open. But at this point, it could start to become 4-down territory for the Seawolves, especially since they are on the opponent's side of the 50. Start thinking of some plays here, because if they are going to start thinking about going for on 4th down, you need to make a play that will make it 4th and manageable. 3rd and 13 now at the 40-yard line. Play clock winding down to 3. Gets the ball off in time. Looking to throw. Gets it off before he's hit. Goes to Sean Harris Jr. and just misses him to his right. He adjusted, but it's incomplete. Faced with the pressure, Fields had to throw that ball away, and Harris was in the vicinity, but it couldn't get there. And so it looks like Seawolves are getting conservative and just going for the punt.
Wow. That play would have been big. Tyquil Fields missed Sean Harris Jr. It looks like the chemistry was a bit off on that play. But now Seawolves going out to punt the football to the UNH football team.
Torn back for the Wildcats.
The Seawolves better hope to be able to punt it deep in New Hampshire territory to keep hope alive. Mitchell Wright to punt. He'll get it off. Evan Horn will let it go. It almost goes right there, and it's kept in bounds. Kept before it goes into the end zone. and fielded by Chris Campbell. It goes right to the 1-yard line. A 39-yard punt that turns out to be for Mitchell Wright. Sise was able to keep it from being a touchback. What an amazing play on special teams.
Yeah, that was really important on special teams to put it near the UNH shot to only scoring, which is really good because that is a huge momentum changer for the Seawolves.
So it looks like we're going to give ourselves another timeout. So we'll take it with them. Just a minute and 4 gone by in this fourth quarter. It's still 27-14 New Hampshire. They are backed up deep as far as can be in their own territory. Zach Wilson and Momodou Sise giving you Stony Brook Football action live on 90.1 FM, WUSB Stony Brook. Back to Matt again we go. Another studio update coming up.
And back in the studios of WUSB, Matt Mankiewicz here again. And with 15 minutes gone by from the anticipated start, let's see what Dallas and Tampa Bay are up to. And as it turns out, interesting. I'm looking at it's next Thursday, so it's not this Thursday. And NFL.com needs to correct that. But now let's get back to business with Major League Baseball. Red Sox and the Rays, well, they are busy as well. And 4-0 is your score right now. And the Red Sox are ahead. And get rid of that. And continuing on, Mets lead the Marlins 3-2 at the end of 5. Pirates up on the Cubs, 3-0 the end of 1. Indians and Royals, no score top 2. Rays and Rockies just getting underway. In about 5 minutes or so, let's send it back.
It's Matt. So we're back at LaValle Stadium. Just a minute and 4 gone by in the fourth quarter. 13:56 to go in this game. New Hampshire up 27-14. Been able to fend off the last 2 scoring opportunities for Stony Brook on their last 2 drives after back-to-back drives by Stony Brook. Before that, led to touchdowns that has put them back in this game. But they're still facing a 13-point deficit. But right now for Stony Brook, what's big is that they have held New Hampshire here to start possession from their own 1-yard line after a great field by Chris Campbell off the punt from Mitchell Wright. And we'll see what blitz idea Stony Brook has here to try and contain New Hampshire's offense if they can. They can do that and force a punt. It could be a very good field position for Stony Brook on their next drive offensively. The defenders are spread out with 3 receivers spread out as well. Washington in the backfield with Edwards. Looks like Edwards is trying to catch them off sides to try and get a better game, but it's not working so far. He has to snap it off eventually. And it looks like we're just going to get a timeout on for New Hampshire. So it looks like they're planning to try and draw Stony Brook offside to try and make it a better starting field position for the Wildcats. Has not worked out yet. That's the first timeout for New Hampshire here in the second half. And no time has gone by. So Momo, so far you've seen the second half has been quite impressive for Stony Brook by trying to be able to get back into this game. What do you see them being able to do differently that has given them hope?
Well, they're having a lot of momentum on their side. They're playing with a lot of momentum and they're playing with a lot of energy. You have seen in the first half, they was not playing with a lot of energy. And with them playing with a lot of energy is allowing them to see the field much clearer and much better. And on defense, they're getting a lot of turnovers against this UNH offense, which in the first half, it was looking really bad because Brett Everett was tearing that Seawolves defense. But now, they've been able to find answers and made a lot of good adjustments against this UNH offense.
Stony Brook pretty much doing what New Hampshire did to them in the first half, capitalizing on turnovers with touchdowns. So again, from the 1-yard line, New Hampshire will have to start. Here's the snap, the handoff to Washington, and he only gets about a yard or 2 on the play. Tackle made by DeManchi. 2nd and 8 coming up.
Washington on the carry. Reggie DeManch on the stop.
That's all about Stony Brook trying to provide the blitz because they know that the running game is going to have to play big here with being hoisted deep in their own territory and trying to get as much yards as they can. Only 2 on that play, and so 2nd and 8 now. 3 receivers once again spread out. Washington staying in the backfield with Edwards. So Stony Brook's going to have to be alert to wherever the ball is going to be thrown. Tight end set in motion. Here's the snap. Edwards is now moving to his right. He's got room to run. He's going to have to find a way out way. And he does throw it out of play for an incomplete pass. Tyler King providing the pressure, forcing Edwards to just throw it away. And a 3rd and long coming up.
And great pressure by Tyler King, making Brett Edwards throw the ball outside the pocket. Throwing the ball out of bounds. Now it's going to be 3rd down and 8. Let's see if the Seawolves could hold in and get another defensive stop against this UNH offense.
Big play coming up here for the Seawolves so they can hold off New Hampshire and force them to punt. And as I said, it could be big field position for Stony Brook if they're able to make a good one. So 4 receivers are spread out. Stony Brook going to have to play excellent defense on this play. Washington in the backfield with Edwards. Here's the snap. They'll hand it off. And Washington just getting across the 5-yard line and right to the 6-yard line. It'll be a 3-yard gain on the play, and 4th down coming up, and Stony Brook able to stop New Hampshire from getting a 1st down while they were deep in their own territory. A really big stop by the Seawolves defense.
Yes, that was a really good stop, and now most likely if they punt the ball, they will be getting into UNH territory with this punt. So,
and it may not be any room for Tyrell Wiggins to try and make the punt. He's going to have to receive the ball and punt it from right near the line of the end zone, from the outside of it. So Stony Brook can be very threatening here with their special teams. They have been known to block punts in the past. Receives it, get the punt out of the way. Neckhead lets it go field. It takes a nice UNH bounce, going across the 40-yard line and stopping right at the 38. So it's a very big play right there, almost a 60-yard punt by Tyrell Wiggins, and Stony Brook will begin possession at the 38-yard line. And this is where offense really needs to try and stay into the peak physical form that it was in the 3rd quarter, as it was part of a comeback. Still plenty of time. 12:15 left to go here. There's still a chance, and Stony Brook really needs to continue to put the offense down. But for Quell Fields, in the last 2 drives, he has not been completely on target with his receivers, and he needs to reestablish the chemistry that he was able to get through, especially the one that he won over the last few years. So Fields fakes the snap, looking, going deep. He finds Hayek, and he gets it to him across midfield, right at the 46-yard line, and a 1st down for Stony Brook as they get themselves right back into UNH territory.
And this is a nice job by Tyler Fields throwing the football to Delonte Helms for the 1st down. And now they'll look to pick up momentum and see what the Seawolves can do here on 1st down and 10 at UNH 50.
So we're under 12 minutes to go now, and with Stony Brook right back in enemy territory, they're going to look to try and continue to score quickly. 3 receivers spread out, Neckhead in the backfield. Fakes it, throws over to it right before he's hit, and hisses Hayek this time. Breaks off a tackle, getting right to the 40-yard line for a 6-yard gain on the play. Tyquell Fields did not anticipate that the players from behind were about to tackle him, but fortunate that he was able to get it out of his hands. I mean, if he still had it in his hands, could have been a disastrous fumble recovery by the Wildcats, but probably a good play right there for Fields. He's able to get it out just quickly enough, and this is all the plays that he's going to have to work for here in this 4th quarter. 2nd and 5 now at the 41-yard line. 2 receivers to the right. The handoff to Neckhead inside, gets right to the 40-yard line, only gets about a yard on the play. A tackle made by Kvetkis again. And so it will be 3rd and 4 coming up at the 40-yard line.
On the stop. 3rd down, 4.
So it's a big 3rd down coming up here. We'll see whether or not this is where Stony Brook may have to start going for on 4th down after they decide to be conservative on the last drive. That did seem to work out for them. So 2 receivers spread out. And Fields trying to go deep again, trying to find his receiver, and he finds Harris inside the 10-yard line and down at the 7. Another huge long play thrown by Fields, and Harris Jr. gets Stony Brook right immediately into scoring position. What a nice throw.
And what a nice job by Harris, beating out the corner. Tyquell Fields finding him and throwing the nice dot. And that's very rare because we have not really seen Tyquell throwing these nice dots this evening, and that was just a good job by him throwing the ball accurately to his receiver.
Ball right at the 8-yard line, and so 1st and goal coming up. It looks like Fields thought it was going to be offside, but it didn't matter anyway. Handoff inside to Lawton. trying to get to up the middle, makes about 3 yards on the carry. Second and goal now at the 5-yard line. And we'll see if Stony Brook decides to go quickly here. And I think that would probably be the best thing that they could hope for, trying to get the defense off guard and trying to hurry up with the scoring. Because time is starting to wind down here, but they do have a chance with a touchdown to cut it into a one-score game. And that could still give Stony Brook some time. And that 2-point chance by New Hampshire, if Stony Brook is able to get back-to-back touchdowns eventually and win this game, could come back to bite New Hampshire. Second goal at the 5-yard line. Harris set in motion. It'll be thrown over to the right. He's trying to find Lamar going into the end zone. Damian Caffrey, incomplete pass. Trying to find Caffrey in the end zone. He had him on target, but just threw over a little too much. And so it'll be third and goal now.
Yes, you're right about that, Zach. There was a lot of air into that pass.
And so with this, you got to think that Stony Brook needs to start using a lot more receivers here. You can't depend on just one. You're 5 yards away from getting back into making this into a one-score game, and you did stop the clock at 9:23. Newton in the back, Newton to the right of Fields. Here's the snap. He's looking at Newton. He'll throw right to him to the end zone. Toe drag, did he get it? No, he did not. It looked like he did have the toe drag, but the refs are ruling him out of bounds, and I think this needs to be looked at. The refs are talking this one over again, and nothing has changed. If you ask me, this needs to be reviewed because to me it almost looked like Newton did have the toes. From the replay, what it looked like to you, Momo?
Well, it looked like he did drag his foot, but he was out of bounds to start off with the play, which I don't really disagree with the referee's call on that play.
Well, if anything, it was very close. You should have looked at it. So fourth and goal, they're going to go for it. And I think with this much time left, they should do that. 3 receivers are now spread out. Here's the snap. Fields is going to get hit from behind. Pop Bush making the tackle, and so it'll be a turnover on downs. New Hampshire gets the ball back. Pass protection blown on the left side. Cameron Lucas, the responsible culprit for allowing Pop Bush to get there.
And that was just an unexpected outside blitz by UNH, but that actually was a bad block by Cam Lucas, leading to Taquet Fields getting sacked, and that puts an end to the Seawolves drive, and now they're still down by 2 scores with 9 minutes left to go in this game.
A lot of opportunities recently for Stony Brook that have started to whittle away from them. A missed 36-yard field goal by Angelo Guglielmello, and failing on 4th and goal from the 5-yard line to get a touchdown. That Khalil Newton pass, it looked like he had his toe drag thing. Yeah, it looked like the refs were pretty definitive about that being an incomplete pass. So at the timeout, the timeout does allow Brett Edwards to come back in. He's all alone in the backfield. Coins in motion. They're going to screen over to the right for Lobb. He has room to run. He's going to get the room to run. He's going to break free. He gets right across midfield. Gets across the 40. He gets across the 30. And he makes it right to the 26-yard line.
And a nice screen pass to Dylan Lobb.
Complete to Lowry for a gain of 54.
For a 54-yard gain, and that's just basically putting aside Stony Brook's momentum, what they had in the 3rd quarter and going into the 4th quarter. And let's see what New Hampshire do here. Will they continue to milk down the clock, or will they try to put this game away?
New Hampshire seemed like they got lucky by being able to call that timeout because Brett Andrews had to come out for a bit. That was their 2nd timeout. It's amazing how you're allowed to do that. First down to 26-yard line of Stony Brook. Another handoff over to Washington. Running to his left across the 20. Dragged out of bounds at the 17-yard line for a gain of 9 yards.
On the carry.
2nd and 1 upcoming inside the 20.
Leyland on the stop. Gain of 9.
It looks like this is starting. Looks like Stony Brook is starting to lose their chances of trying to come back in this game, and it looks like it may start to be lost. Very hard start to the season for Stony Brook. The offense only having one good look for the in the third quarter, but cannot replicate it in the 4th quarter at all. 2nd and 1 now. Expects another handoff to Carlos Washington with 3 receivers spread out to the right. They'll hand it off indeed. He misses the first down. He's unable to get there. Tackled initiated by Dakar Edwards.
Washington on the carry.
That's right. Refs rule him just shy of the 16-yard line. It'll be 3rd and inches. 6:20 left to go. New Hampshire up 27-14, looking to begin this season with a win and try and build momentum off of it while managing the rest of the season without their best quarterback in Max Brosman. Doesn't seem to be too much of the case right now, as Brett Edwards having a very successful game, 233 yards and 3 touchdowns, while for Fields 197 yards and 1 touchdown, getting sacked 3 times and throwing 2 picks. And a fumble on the recovery, and it looks like Stony Brook is finally able to come up with that one again. Carthel Flowers, and once again, it's another turnover. And here comes the turnovers here in the second half for Stony Brook, and that's been really wild to watch. Looks like New Hampshire was just about ready to make the exclamation point, but it's not happening yet. Believe it or not, there's now still a smidge chance of Stony Brook making a comeback, but now that they're going to be back on offense here, they're going to have to do this very quickly and get down the field with some big plays.
Yes, you're right, Zach. They're going to have to score really quickly here and try to get the ball back.
So they'll start the ball from their own 19-yard line. 81 yards to work with on this possession. Here's the snap. Fields going to throw to his left. He gets the catch over to Khalil Newton, trying to stay on his feet, and makes it right in here to the 25-yard line. And they're going to have to hurry it up here as we're under 6 minutes to go. 4-yard gain on the play, 2nd and 6.
Fields his pass complete to Newton. Harris on the stop. Gain of 5.
It seems like Newton tried to stay on his feet, and he could have gotten more yards if he had just given himself up going forward. So here goes Fields again, throwing over the middle. Pass complete to Tyler DeVera, making it right to the 30-yard line for a first down. Now momentarily stop the clock. Every first down, the clock stops for a few seconds, and Stony Brook really may have to rely on that as well. So we'll see what more that they can do here in this hurry-up. 4 receivers now spread out in the backfield with Fields. Here's the snap. Fields looking. He's going to throw a deep one to his right for Sean Harris Jr. Trying to adjust. Catch. Did he make it? No, he did not. Another missed catch. Another catch made, but just out of bounds. Somewhat acrobatic for Harris Jr. And he's not able to haul it in and keep himself in bounds. Again, it does stop the clock with 5:09 left to go. Now 2nd and 10 upcoming. Yeah, I'm surprised most of these plays have not really been reviewed or looked at, especially with that Khalil Newton toe drag that was called back. So I'll have to work it again from the 30-yard line with 4 receivers spread out. Here's the snap. Fields looking to throw. Has to get rid of it. He'll take off. He gets away from the New Hampshire defense. He's going to run for a first down and more. Getting across midfield. Running out to his 40-yard line. Backs up out of bounds into New Hampshire territory. What a big run from Fields to keep hope alive. And we're just under 5 minutes to go now.
Yes, what a nice job by Tycat Fields running for 29 yards. It looked like he was going to get sacked, gets off the pressure, runs it for like 30 yards, and now it's a first down in UNA's territory with 4 minutes to go left in this game.
They can't waste any time here. Even if they do get a touchdown, they'll still be down by a score, and they need to once again hold off New Hampshire's offense. So here's the snap. Fields throwing over the middle, nearly intercepted, trying to target Hayek. And Pop Bush nearly had the game-winning interception from the looks of it, but it stops the clock once again at 4:31, 2nd down and 10 from the New Hampshire 41-yard line. And again, Tyquil Fields has got to get a better read on passes because he cannot afford to make any more mistakes after this. This is not the start to the season that he envisioned in any way.
Yeah, you're right, Zach. As I see, overthrowing a lot of balls that could have been connected this evening.
And Fields throwing over to his right finds Khalil Newton. Then decide to go out of bounds, but he eventually does get dragged out of bounds across the 30, right to the 25-yard line. And going out of bounds will stop the clock at 4:25. But now because we're over 4 minutes, the clock still runs down even though he went out of bounds. So they're going to have to hurry this up again offensively. Stony Brook has 2 timeouts left. We'll see whether or not they think about going for an onside kick should they eventually get the touchdown on this drive. First down. They'll hand it off to Lawton here. Trying to get over the middle. Lawton almost went backwards, and he is tackled at the 22-yard line for a gain of 3. And I don't see how handing it off at this point would be a smart idea. They're going to have to hurry up again.
At least if you hand it off, call the timeout, but they still letting the clock run down.
Well, conserving the timeouts because once New Hampshire gets the ball back, you want to be able to get as much as you can to try and still have one more chance to get a comeback. 2nd and 7, thrown over the left. Pass is caught by Hayek right near the first down at the 16-yard line for a gain of
6. Bam down. 1.
So they're going to have to hurry this up again. 3:22 left to go. Time's winding down here. They still need to hurry it up. Any play that goes out of bounds will stop the clock. 3rd and 2. Will he hand it off? He will. Going to, oh no, Fields will take it himself. Running to the right, inside the 10. And he goes inside the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown, Stony Brook. With 3:03 left to go, the Seawolves have now made this a one-score game. Tyquell Fields from 19 yards out is able to keep hope alive still. And plenty of time, if anything, this comeback attempt has been monstrous to watch.
And yes, great job by Tyquell Fields, fooling them off the option and running it in for a touchdown. And we're seeing in this possession, Tyquell Fields using his legs more. And quite frankly, I really believe that if Tyquell Fields has been using his legs the whole entire game, they would have not been in this mess in the first place.
Angelo Guglielmo's kick is good, and now New Hampshire is only up 27-21. Halfway through the third quarter, they had a 27-0 lead off a 64-yard touchdown catch and run by Brian Espinette. But after that, 3 straight touchdowns by Stony Brook, and now they have really made this a dire situation on both sides. And we're going to see whether or not Priori thinks about the onside kick. But with 2 timeouts left, I think it's safe that you just go for a normal kickoff and hope that your defense can hold off. Because if you are able to and use down your timeouts, you'll still have plenty of time. Of course, you do still need to go for the touchdown. You can't get a field goal on your next drive, but Stony Brook is really putting all the pressure now on New Hampshire to try and finish this off. Just like last time, New Hampshire up 6 with a few minutes to go. They have the ball. Last time, they were able to milk off the clock and finish the game by taking the win from Stony Brook at LaValle. And here we go again. A similar situation to listen in or watch probably if you can. And we're going to see whether or not if Stony Brook has the ability this time to hold off New Hampshire and not allow them to finish this game off in any way. Stony Brook deciding to go normal here, and they'll have the Wildcats start the ball from the 15-yard line. 2:58 left to go. Stony Brook very close to a comeback, but they need to force New Hampshire to a 3rd and out here. Even 1 first down for New Hampshire could pretty much seal the deal. But like I said, I like that Priori decided to keep it safe and go for the normal kickoff because it looked like New Hampshire was pretty much susceptible to a potential onside kick attempt by the Seawolves.
Yes, that was just a good decision by Chuck Prior, kicking it off regularly. And now UNH is on their 15-yard.
So here we go. Here we go. Here's the snap. The handoff to Carlos Washington. He's getting up the middle across the 25-yard line right to the 24 for it was actually 21-yard line, a gain of 6 on the play. And the clock continues to wind down. It looks like Stony Brook not calling their timeouts yet. So let's see whether or not them deciding to withdraw their timeouts is a good idea. Of course, if New Hampshire does eventually get a first down, that might be a nice idea. Well, of course, as I said, time is still winding down. 2.5 minutes now. 2nd and 4 to 21-yard line. Stony Brook may need to start going with a blitz here in order to conceal the run game. Washington still in the backfield with Edwards. Tight end set in motion to his right. Here's the snap. Another handoff to Washington, and he trips from behind. Not really getting that many yards. He gets about 2 on the play, and now 3rd and 2 coming up. And so Stony Brook will call their second timeout with 2:09 left to go. The play of the game is coming up here with just 2:09 left to go. And we'll see if Stony Brook does have the ability to finish this to try and give themselves hope this late in the game as opposed to last time. But what do you think they're going to have to do here on 3rd and 2 to try and contain the run game as much as they can?
Well, on 3rd and 2, I say UNA should run the ball, but hopefully Stony Brook can get a stop on this possession.
I think, if anything, with the receivers out there for New Hampshire, they may need to rely on one-on-one. Get every player that is available to be right on that line of scrimmage to try and crowd it as much as they can. Allow no holes at all. And this is looking like, and it looks like that's what's going to show right here. 3 receivers are spread out. I see a blitz. A lot of people crowding the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 2. Here it comes. Here's the snap. And off to Washington, and he doesn't get to the first down line. Casey Williams with the tackle, and 4th down coming up. He loses 2 yards on the play. And one more timeout called by Stony Brook with 2:05 left to go. What a huge defensive stop by the Seawolves.
Just a nice stop by the Seawolves. Nice tackle by Casey Williams with a 2-yard loss, and now Stony Brook gets the ball back with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. Let's see if the Seawolves can pull a miracle and win this game, because they was down 27-0 to start the 3rd quarter.
And the punt unit coming out for the Wildcats. Obviously, you don't want to do anything too daredevil risky or risk Stony Brook giving more time to try and get a game-winning touchdown. So Tyrell Wiggins set the punt. Neckhead fielded at the Stony Brook 42-yard line. Crucial stop by Stony Brook on defense. And now they'll look to try and force anything that they can. Saban Neckhead will call for the fair catch at the Stony Brook 43-yard line. And at precisely 2 minutes left to go, Stony Brook 50. They are 57 yards away from one of the biggest comebacks in program history. We've seen them make a comeback here before, back in 2018 against Villanova, faced down 21-0 in the first half. They went on a 29-6 run after that to win it 29-27. Do they have what it takes here? And they have plenty of time to do that. They'll work it from the 44-yard line. 4 receivers spread out. Here's the first snap. Fields looking. He's going to take off again. He's got some room to run. He's going to dive forward into New Hampshire territory, making a first down right to the UNH 44-yard line.
And a nice scramble by Taquan Foles. Once again, now we're seeing him use his legs in these last 2 possessions by the Seawolves, in which he should have been doing that the whole game.
Fields throwing to his right, and a pass broken up by Randall Harris. Pass intended for Sean Harris across the 40-yard line. Incomplete. And with 1:43 left to go, 2nd and 10 coming up. My heart's beating very fast. Momo, is yours?
Yes.
I mean, really, there's still a lot of hope, and really, this has been one fun game to watch. Stony Brook really with the momentum now, and there's still plenty of time to work with. 44 yards away with 1:43 left to work with. 2nd down, here's the snap. Fields throwing quickly to his right. Sean Harris does make the catch this time across the 40-yard line and down at the 38. A 6-yard gain on the play, 3rd and 4 now. Clock continues to wind down. We're at 1.5 minutes. They do have time to work with here, but they still need to get those first down plays. New Hampshire only has 1 timeout left. 3rd and 4 coming up. It's definitely 4-down territory. Here's the snap. Fields looking. He's going to take off again, trying to get ahead. There's nowhere for him to run. He did get across the 40, and it's only down the 39-yard line where a 1-yard loss. And so here comes 4th down. Fields couldn't spot anybody available. Pocket collapsing in front of him. Had to advance forward and not make it even longer of a play here. 4th and 5, 48 seconds left. And they're still wasting time here. I don't know if this is a good idea now. They need to start getting down the field. They're going to have to hurry this up. So here we go. All or nothing here on this play. 4th and 5 from the 39-yard line. Here's the snap. Fields looking. He's going to throw over to his right. Harris, did he make the catch? He did. He gets it across the 30 outside of the 26-yard line. Stops the clock with 31 seconds to go.
That was an all or nothing play right there, and luckily he found Sean Harris down the sideline. He's able to catch the ball with his chest.
So all right, so they'll go back again quickly. He was in bounds, so the clock continues to wind down. 28 seconds, here's the snap. And we have a whistle called. I think New Hampshire's gonna call timeout here. Refs are coming together to talk about this one. And I don't know what this is all about. Actually, they're wondering whether or not Harris was out of bounds. If he was, then the clock should be going back. So New Hampshire does call a timeout, and that's their final timeout with 27 seconds left. So that does help Stony Brook as the clock stops right there with 27 seconds left to go. I mean, really, this could not be any more closer for Stony Brook than it has been in years past. Actually, they didn't call a timeout, their own volition. There is an injured Wildcat on the field, and so they had no choice but to take the timeout.
God, this is just unbelievable. If you would have told me that Stony Brook would have had a chance to even be in this game, the start of the third quarter when it's 27-0, I would have just looked at you and laughed at you. But actually, Stony Brook has a chance to actually win this game.
And because of that injury timeout for New Hampshire, it does help Stony Brook, conserves the clock, and gives them some time to work things out. They are at the 26-yard line on first down with 27 seconds left to go. There is still time for them to make one of the biggest comebacks that we have ever seen. Tackwell Fields trying to help Stony Brook win their first game of the season here at home at LaValle against the New Hampshire Wildcats. And can they close this out? And they're going to and there's going to be a review on this play. And I'm not sure what this is all going to be about, because it looked to me like he made that catch. I mean, could be looking at this either one or two ways, either that he made the catch or not, or when he did make the catch, was his foot out of bounds afterwards, stopping the clock, or does it allow the clock to continue to roll down? But really, they called this review now after a New Hampshire injury timeout. I mean, and still that guy for New Hampshire who is down, who went down injured, is still down. This is just getting a little too crazy, huh? Looks from Chuck Priori. He is not happy about this at all. We can't tell from our angle how the catch was made, because the body was right in front of the ball, making it impossible for us to see. Tackwell Fields, the initial ruling on the field is that Tackwell Fields converted a 13-yard play on 4th and 5 to the 26-yard line to Sean Harris Jr. And if that play stands, the ball will be at the 26-yard line for Stony Brook. The clock will stay at 27 because of that New Hampshire injury timeout. The offense is staying on the field, so it looks like the play is going to stand. The refs haven't finished up their reviewing yet. Either both sides know what the ruling is going to be, or they don't, and they're just letting it play out like that in any way they want.
It seems like both sides actually know the ruling, because one of the refs is talking to the Stony Brook players, actually.
Along with that, I do see also one of the refs talking to Chuck Priori as well. I mean, seriously, I don't know what to feel about this right now. This game has been going on for over 3 hours, and it looks like both refs have finished reviewing. So it looks like it's possible that we're going to wait for the ruling on the field, and it looks like it is going to stand, hopefully. So the ruling on the field does stand as called. We couldn't hear really anything from the refs. Hard to tell whether the mic is working. And they're going to give them time back. 35 seconds now. So it looks like also with that, 8 seconds are put back on the clock. So Stony Brook has more time to work with here from the New Hampshire 26-yard line. Very big one for Stony Brook, and that's really going to give them a lot more time to get this game-winning touchdown. So here we go from the 26-yard line. And before that, refs blow another whistle. How many more delays are we going to see here? And two refs are getting together. And this just continues to get even crazy, even more crazy. I don't see any other ideas why there would be another review. So it looked like the fact was that he may have been out of bounds. So after he made the catch. So They'll finally stop delaying it. 35 seconds at the 26-yard line, first down. Here's the snap. Fields going to throw it to his right. Makes the catch to Sean Harris Jr. across the 20 to the 19-yard line for a 7-yard gain. And 3 seconds went by.
Gain of 7 on the play. Second down, 3.
Second down and 3 now. And these short plays could be big for Stony Brook. They don't need to worry about conserving the clock too much. Looking good for them and hard for New Hampshire. Need to make better accurate throws here if they want to hold on, want to try and get this game winner. Second and 3, here's the snap. Fields looking, he's got some time. He's got to throw it away. He does, takes a shot to the end zone and is overthrown to Hunter Hayek. It's incomplete.
Fields' pass intended for Hyatt, incomplete.
So that's exactly what Fields had to do, or risk getting sacked and have the time wind down. So now it's better off with 3rd and 3. 4 down territory, you need to probably just get 3 more yards. Must get to the 16-yard line to extend this drive. You need to start thinking about making short plays once again. Because where you are right now, making a play in the field of play and have the clock run for a bit, not too much of a problem. 4 receivers now spread out. 3rd and 3. Here's the snap. Fields looking to throw. Going to the end zone again. Trying to get his man for Khalil Newton. Incomplete. Once again, he tried to take a shot, and I'm not really sure about these plays because, if anything, you need to start getting more assured passes that can allow you to stay on the field. And now, once again, Stony Brook is faced with 4th and 3. What should they do here?
Stony Brook should throw it short to get the first down. But I was surprised on that last play. It looked like it was a pass interference, actually. But surprised the referee didn't call it.
So here we go again. Once again, it's all or nothing for Stony Brook. 4th and 3 from the 19-yard line. 21 seconds left. Here's the snap. Fields has to throw. He does, but it's overthrown. He was hit, and it's incomplete.
Intended for Harris is incomplete.
And that's going to end this football game.
Wow.
Fields under pressure, just had to throw it away. It did not look well for him at all.
Wow. That was crushing. The She-Wolves had no answer against the UNH blitz towards Tykel Fields, and he had to just throw it and pray. But
I don't really understand why you even, with where you are right now with that much time left, you decide to go take deep shots to the end zone because you still had a lot of time, and now that's going to end up costing you the game.
yeah.
So the UNH offense comes back onto the field for one more play as they'll get themselves into victory formation. And a little extracurricular activity, it seemed like. That was Carthel Flowers who tried to blitz Brett Edwards. And so that will bring us to the end of this football game, and that will do it from LaValle Stadium. A near comeback attempt by Stony Brook that just falls short, and they fall in their season opener 27-21. It was really, really close for Stony Brook, but Tyquell Fields deciding to go for those long balls when it was 2nd and 3. I mean, I don't know if that was really the right call for him. You had a lot of time, and you're better off throwing those short passes. You've seen how that was working before on that drive, and you looked like you had that chance to win.
Yes, you're right, Zach. The short passing game was working the whole game. I don't see why I throw a lot of deep shots when it's 2nd and 3, and I just didn't understand the play call by Pure, going for deep shots for the end zone, trying to go for the win with like 20 seconds left on the clock. That just didn't really make any sense to me at all, and that's what actually led them to lose this game because it was 4th and 3. There was just no answer against that pressure by UNH, and the Sea-Wolves is going to go next week to Colgate thinking about this game and hopefully switch a lot of things what they did this game differently to when they play Colgate next Saturday.
3 weeks from Saturday, Stony Brook will be back here at LaValle Stadium to take on the Fordham Rams. But before that, it'll be back-to-back road games for the Sea-Wolves as they will head to Colgate, as you said, taking on a team projected to finish dead last in the Patriot League, and then going to have to face up against the Oregon Ducks. But the only benefit of that is that they get paid $625,000 to play against a Ducks team that is projected to win the Pac-12 once again and could be a sleeper for the college football playoffs. So, final stats, Tyquell Fields finishes up the day, 255 yards, a touchdown throw to Khalil Newton, and 2 picks. He gets a touchdown on the ground, 54 total yards. While for Brett Edwards, he gets 233 yards and 3 touchdowns, a successful day from him. being able to find the likes of Sean Coyne, Lepkowski, and Espinette. Actually, Brian Espinette responsible for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, while for Lepkowski, it was a catch for 4 yards that ended up being his only catch that led to 6. Carlos Washington on the ground. He had 63 total yards on 16 carries. Leader, of course, was Fields on the ground for Stony Brook with 54 yards. Tyson Lawton on 11 carries, getting 42 total. Didn't really see much of Jane Cook. Jane Cook was playing, but after he lost a fumble, didn't seem like he was playing the rest of the game. We didn't really see Jane Turner. And after what we saw of him in the spring of 2019, pretty big surprise that he didn't play. Stony Brook had more first downs than UNH. Had just as many carries as them, about as many rushing yards as well. They had pretty much owned everything in the yards total, but just couldn't finish it off completely. It looked like it was because of those costly back-to-back turnovers that led to touchdowns for UNH in the second quarter that cost them the game. If it wasn't for that, Stony Brook would probably be the ones to win this one.
Yeah.
So, with that, we will sign off here. Thank you for listening in to what was nearly an amazing game for Stony Brook, nearly close to finishing it off and getting one of the biggest comebacks of all time, but they fall to the New Hampshire Wildcats 27-21. New Hampshire moves to 1-0 on the year. They are going to go back home on 9/11 to take on the Towson Tigers at 6 p.m. Zach Wilson and Momodou Sise giving you Stony Brook Seawolves football action live on 90.1 FM WSB Stony Brook, the longtime home for Seawolves Athletics. We will be on the sports section Sunday night to recap this week in Stony Brook sports, but until then, you have yourselves a good week, ladies and gentlemen.